Hello, everybody, and welcome to EGL Season 1. We got an incredible first week ahead of us. It's going to be Big Duck Entourage versus Abyssal Sapphire. I'm Colonel. Beside me is going to be Pack Paul. Paul, walk me through this matchup.
Honestly, this is one of the most exciting matchups of the season, in my opinion. And that's because I think we're seeing two massive underdogs here fighting for their rights to make it into playoffs. And I think that it doesn't start down the line once our records are decided. I think it starts right now in week one. We got a couple big name players too. I don't think neither of these teams are scrubs. I think both of these teams have a lot of potential, but the most notable for me is Psych in the top lane for Big Duck Entourage. This player has climbed through the ranks. Some call him the prodigy, and I'm excited what to see what he's gonna do. But on the other side, we have Abyssal Sapphire with a bunch of well-known names, veteran talents. Have been playing together for a while. A Mew Life comes to mind when I think of players that have been around the scene a lot, and let's see what roster they could put together this season as well to compete for that playoff bid, Colonel. Now, we do have some unfortunate things happening. I believe we had a 3 ban loss, but it may have been waived. I'm uncertain. Oh, so there was some ESUB trouble. Um, their Big Duck Entourage potentially had to use 2 ESUBs. Now they're down to 1, so we're going to see 1 misband from Big Duck Entourage, but honestly, Colonel, in the draft so far, I think we're seeing exactly what is expected. We're seeing those power top lane picks taken away from Psych.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of comfort picks as well. These are some champions that we've seen him perform so incredibly well on in his past split. It was also his first split that we saw in ZGG, and a lot of those champs. The Mord comes to mind, 1v9ing, trying to keep his team alive in the playoff race, and the Kale always is something you have to think about when you think of Psych. So I like those bands, and Big Duck Entourage will go and take the Seraphine first and Abyssal Sapphire answering with the Zaya.
And it is a new patch, and I feel like comp teams haven't been playing or practicing as much as they were back in Pro Play Spring. So it's very interesting that we're still seeing a lot of Seraphine around with a Zyra Khan responding as well. I feel like this draft is already going a bit crazy for me, but there are a lot of changes since these teams last played in comp. So what I'm curious about, Colonel, is what are we going to see that is the new stuff that we're seeing in pro play, and what are we going to see that is the old bread and butter of these teams during spring split? And I think Seraphine is one of those champions, but very quick lock-ins through the rest of the first rotation, and we're already seeing the first half of the draft finish with Seraphine, Jinx, and Aatrox for blue side, and a Zyra Rakan duo with Quirky mid blinded for red side.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I love that point that you brought up about trying to decide or see how much we'll see of this new meta that's been evolving throughout MSI in the pro scene, compared to what we've seen these teams be so comfortable, so confident while playing that we especially saw in the last split. And so far, it's definitely leaning toward the latter. This is a lot of picks that we saw a decent amount last into early spring. And I think the Seraphine is a great pick, but Jinx is one of those champions that has been starting to crop up more and more. She just does absolutely so much damage once she comes online. And Aatrox is a comfort pick and a half for Psych. So I think so far, Big Duck Entourage has a great draft.
I would think so too. My only question I have for Big Duck Entourage's draft, as we see Rammus locked in with his new ultimate changes as well, that's actually even more interesting. Ignore my earlier point. I love me some Rammus, and I think Rammus has a home in fives now with his new ultimate. I feel that the way you're supposed to use his ultimate is a little risky because if you do miss your R, you also lose your Q's damage and knockup. But if Ramus can hit those big man ultis, it's going to mean so much for his team. And now I think we're seeing some of the new meta from Big Duck Entourage.
Yeah,
Rumble being
the
locked in. It's
This pick
fresh, it's
has
new, it's
been
awesome.
doing so much work in MSI. It's obviously been some meddling success. There are arguments about whether to include RNG's stomping in those numbers, but regardless of the debate, Rumble has been seen so much. Oriana has been as well. Um, and Abyssal Sapphire are gonna end with the Ornn pick going up for a Dead Shark against Psyche in the top lane.
And I think that rounds out Abyssal Sapphire's draft very well. My my question more so is the Aatrox Rumble early game going to be able to overpower the Ornn Rammus? Because both of these comps are leaning pretty heavily into scaling. But Abyssal Sapphire's comp does outscale because they have a stronger front line and late game Corki is terrifying. So even though both of these drafts are showing scaling, I kind of worry when Big Duck Entourage start fighting around Drake 6, Drake 7, Elder, Baron, if they're going to be able to have the front line to protect Jinx and Orianna while they're trying to hit their abilities and skill shots.
Yeah, that's the big question. I think Aatrox is really the only thing that I can see here to be that front line. Obviously, he can sort of function as a drain tank of sorts with his lifesteal, but Rumble tends to build full AP. He always is trying to find as much damage as possible with his ultimate. So I'm not sure if they're going to have enough in front of Jinx. So I agree. I think a lot of it is going to come to the early game, and can they get enough to warrant the early game aggression and sort of end the game before Abyssal comes online.
And another thing to note too is Abyssal Sapphire have a ton of reposition for Rumble's ultimate. Corki has his Valkyrie. Zaya can use her Gale Force active, which I'm sure she will be building this game. Rakan can dash around to her. The only person who can really get caught long term in a Rumble ultimate is Rammus. So though I do love that Rumble's been putting in work and I do like the Rumble pick, because they also went with Orianna on blue 5 instead of going with a double ADC comp, which I would have been much in favor for, whether it have been Lucian or Tristana, both of which were up. This is part of why AP junglers are so popular. It's because we get to pick 80 mid laners who get to dominate some matchups. Because we didn't get to see that from Big Duck Entourage, I'm a little worried about how this Rumble is going to be able to find his ultimates as well. With that said, though, if Seraphine and Rumble can get an ultimate on top of each other, I don't really see a world where Abyssal Sapphire survive the sheer one-shot power of those two AP champions. Because they still have to itemize armor for Jinx.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think Big Duck Entourage has also put a lot of their draft into drafting comfort. Other than the Rumble, which has cropped up more recently, all these picks are so comfortable for Big Duck Entourage's players. Obviously the Aatrox, but looking in the mid lane, it's sort of crazy to see how much Puber has put on the Orianna, especially recently, both in solo queue, but as well as in flex with his teammates. So a lot of comfort, but not necessarily super amazing for the composition. I agree that an 80 mid would have been so much better, and he does have time put on Lucian, but not nearly as much as the Orianna. So maybe they're saying that yes, the meta is important, but our players being comfortable is more so.
Yeah, and sometimes it does come down to comfort, but with that said, Colonel, if you had to pick one comp, both look good, both have their upsides, both have their weaknesses. Do you believe in the Psych early game top lane carry to get his team into the mid game ahead? Or do you believe in Abyssal Sapphire's ability to take the pressure and outscale?
I love me some Psych. I was a fan of him from when he first came into the league until he ranked out back in ZGG IBS. And I think I'm excited to see him continue to perform. But I feel like this time around, he has been set up for failure. I really do believe that Abyssal Sapphire's draft just seems better. And yes, I think he probably can, but more likely, I'd have to go with Abyssal.
You know what, Colonel? I'll take the other side of the coin. I'll take the other side of the coin.
You're a
I
Psych
think
believer?
I am a Psych believer. This man is hype. He's on a comfort champion. The counter pick could have been, I don't know. I think Ornn is the right pick. I just think Psych has so much room to outplay. I think the early game Rumble potentially catching out Rammus around the first Scuttle Crab and just killing him. There's so much skirmish potential in this top side. I think it's going to get them ahead. And Jinx doesn't really need a front line if she's always running forward. Because if she's always excited, we're always winning. And I
Absolutely.
believe that Psy can find that first kill. I believe that his team can find that first opening to get the job done here and get their team out before the mid game ends.
All right, everyone watching, you guys have the drafts, you have our predictions. We will cut to a quick break before we get into game one of week one of EGL. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody. We are ready to get back into this game. Big Duck Entourage versus Abyssal Sapphire. There's a lot to be excited about looking at this draft.
There is a lot to be excited about looking at this draft. I think as we go into loading screen, we're going to get to see whether or not anybody took anything interesting out of the ordinary, things we didn't expect, but it all seems pretty standard to me, Colonel, except Oriana going phase rush. Is the phase rush nerfs next patch? Not this patch. It is next patch.
I think it is next patch.
Never mind. I think Oriana's runes are absolutely fine on this patch. Yeah, and I think we're standard all around. No special summoners to see here. And I think that I guess he seems to have been practicing these comps somewhat, and they've seen what pro play's been doing. I think they're gonna just stick with what they see and what they think is good. So
Yeah, Jinx does go with the cleanse. I do think that's the correct decision. There's a lot of CC looking at the other side of the map. Rakan always packs a swift punch, and Rammus, of course, with his new ultimate in hand, he has a lot as well. And then once you get into team fights, the Horn from downtown can always be something to worry about. So I respect the cleanse decision, but we'll see if that does mean that they can't be aggressive in that bot lane early.
yeah, and you do lose a combat summoner by going this cleanse. I do think it's the right choice. I think they're doubling down into that scaling that we were talking about so much. For the Jinx late game. But I do think it does give Chubby Bunny and Abyssal Mew Life a ton of kill potential because she can't cleanse Rakan knockup. And Rakan knockup early is a very, very deadly spell if it lands. If she dodges it, though, they do have a lot of turn potential. But the cleanse doesn't help her there. So I don't think the cleanse is a wrong option for the game, but I do think it makes them weaker in lane, not having that heal. But here we are on the Rift for the first game of EGL ever.
Oh yeah, and Paul, you'll be disappointed because I feel like it always happens whenever you're not casting. But no spicy level ones, no fiestas in either jungle, which is mostly to be expected. I don't think either of the comps necessarily lend themselves to that. There is no Morgana, no Thresh, which we often see invading. But unfortunately, there will be no spice in the first minute or two.
And every time these teams let me down. I've been searching for a big level 1 play for a team that I've been streaming to make just to start the game off on an exciting high tempo foot, and it's 5 point after 5 point for me. It's so unfortunate. It's okay. With monkeys rising in this year, maybe I'll force them to
Fourth minute.
just to excite me a little. But here we are into game 1. It looks like Rammus is starting topside, which we don't get to see a lot. Generally in gold, even up to before diamond, teams tend to take the double leash, but it's good to see that the Rammus is pathing towards bottom to try to punish the Jinx Seraphine early as much as possible.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of that coin, I do like what Rumble is doing. I think starting on the bot side is better for him because we talked about the Aatrox and the Rumble being those two pressure points for the early game for Big Duck Entourage when you're mostly looking at Huber and Leo Diff to be that anchor in the late game if you do so get there. So I like the decisions for pathing on this side of both junglers.
I agree, but the one thing that does worry me with Remus not pathing towards topside is that this Ornn is definitely island, where you know where the early pressure is going to be looking at both drafts. I fear for this Ornn's life here for the first 10 minutes of the game, personally. And, I mean, hopefully, we get enough bonks and claps and brittle procs that we get to survive and get out alive. But I do fear for the level 3 play, just coming over and killing Ornn with no support on his side of the map.
Yeah, hopefully he can do his best to avoid that. Obviously, the CS is already starting to show that Psych is the kind of top laner that is going to force whenever he has the opportunity to do so. So with his Rumble coming up, it's going to be a big test for Deadshark to see if he's able to take the pressure without giving up any advantages.
Yeah, absolutely, Colonel. And sadly, though, with Corki, did Corki just get a cheater off? I think that's very interesting that Corki was able to get a cheater off on his third wave of the game. I don't think we see that nearly enough, but I think it's very, very, very impressive that Corki was able to get back here with a longsword and not missing a wave. As both sides, junglers, no plays to be made yet, no excitement, just poking around, taking their crabs. But Remus is coming in for a gank here, Colonel.
Puber is in a tough position. Remus is going, but he's not able to roll his way there. Now Swag Money Boy has arrived. We'll see if they're going to be trading in here, and that's going to be a lot of damage with the flamethrower. That's so much damage. Darkstar disrespected it, and the auto's coming through his first blood over to Orianna. The disrespect from Remus, and he gives his life over.
And that is the level 3 first. And if we look back here, Colonel, this is what we were talking about. Swag Money Boy on the Rumble, getting to make a play at level 3 around Scuttle. We know they have the topside early advantage. I don't know what Darkstar is thinking as he comes to this side of the map. He knows that Rumble can be here, and he knows that Rumble is just so strong. And as Rumble gets that overclock on his Q, and he just burns and burns and burns, and that's... Ramus just can't take that much damage early. Rumble is just one of the strongest champions at level 3 in the game, and it gets punished for the Ramus over chasing.
That's a very brutal start for Abyssal Sapphire. But remember, we did talk about it in Champ Select that they are the team with better scaling. They will be able to win these late game team fights if they get there. So obviously we have to keep out because we're looking at Big Duck Entourage and they have to continue to push the advantage. That is nowhere near enough. They have to never let up because once they get there into those late game team fights, it's going to be very difficult.
Exactly, Colonel. And with first Drake spawning, this is a really important thing for us to see from Big Duck Entourage. We need to see them take these Drakes early and often. They have to push the tempo on Soul Point here throughout the course of the entire game. They are playing a comp that does get outscaled. Although they have late game champions in their carry positions, they will get outscaled with this front line. So they need to take first Drake as quick as possible. They need to get the timer starting to run so that at 24-25 minutes, we're fighting over Soul. When we're strong, when we're still ahead, when our champions are still in a good position to close out the game. We can't let Abyssal Sapphire get a Drake and stall us to Drake 5, Drake 6, where it's more and more likely that Sapphire just outscale and win.
And unfortunately for Big Duck Entourage, the bot lane had priority for Abyssal Sapphire, so Rumble was not able to path that way. He ended up going up to his topside camps. He is currently on Wolves, and that leaves a window for Abyssal Sapphire to do just like what you said and potentially stall out the game by starting up this Drake. They are in a great position to do so, and Ramus, he's going to be rolling in. They may have caught out Orianna. That's a flash out. Great force to get that summoner, but they don't feel comfortable getting this Drake. They're going to be channeling their backs. It looks like all of them will do so. So getting a flash, but nothing else.
And I think that is an okay base to take. I know you're around Drake, but at the same time, there is potential for a contest, and it doesn't give Xayah a back timer. And right now, Xayah can come back with a Noon Quiver while Jinx is still at her bot wave. They have a free setup, but Jinx will be down an entire Noon Quiver when Xayah re-arrives to lane. So they opt for, as it seems like nothing's going to happen here, unless Colonel.
Oh, the Force God going to be used from Dead Shark. We'll see if he's able to go any further. He's not. So that is an ultimate cooldown being taken out for what looked like a pretty tame gank from the side of Swag Money Boy, but regardless, decently successful.
Yeah, it was a little strange that he burned the ultimate so early. It's such an important cooldown to be down for him.
Oh, the Grand Entrance is massive. This Ignite coming down. The cleanse is there. My God, the damage does not come through. The cleanse is so perfect from Leo, and he's not able to go down. Chubby Bunny could not find that last auto attack, and staying alive is this Jinx.
Yeah, and the Xayah swings just wide to the left on her Q that would have delivered the killing blow to Jinx. And it's just wide, and it means that Jinx escapes with her life in probably the biggest kill window we'll see in the early game here for this Xayah Rakan duo.
Yeah, but that pressure always does cascade. They do get the Drake because of it. Jinx was not able to stand a contest in Rumble. He's going to do the standard trade, starting up the Rift Herald in the top side. His mid laner does have Prio, and it doesn't look like Dead Shark is going to be able to contest Psyche, so that should be an easy trade for the side of Big Duck Entourage.
Absolutely, and I think we're starting to see a bit of a game plan form here from Big Duck Entourage. We're starting to see that maybe they want to win through gold. I was talking, if I were in this game, if I were shot calling, I would look to prioritize these early Drakes. But it looks like BDE are taking a different approach where they're looking to win through raw gold. They're looking to win through raw item advantages. So if this Rift gets down towards Psyche, and if Psyche can get maybe 4 plates, 3 to 4 plates on him in the early game and build a huge advantage, which he already has a 33 farm advantage over him, which is massive for Aatrox, and that it equates to a 700 gold lead already, and there's still at least 10 minions here. As he's starting to all in.
He's going in with the World Ender. That's so much damage with the Q3. He's going to be forcing out the teleport from James Moriarty, and now that's the package. That's a good amount of damage on his side. He may have overcommitted here, but Swag Money Boy has arrived. Is it in time? Damage is there. The turret plate, he's going to get it, but he's going to give his life for it. Oh, wait! That's... the turret killed him! There was no trade kill there as a 1-for-1 for Abyssal. And potentially a misplay. Psyche probably could have found the kill there.
Yeah, and Colonel, if we look back here, as Psyche commits here, this is a great commit. He gets the TP as well. Psyche just draws so much pressure. He's such a focal point for this team. And Corki comes in with a package, but look, Psyche swings wide on his first Q. He dashes through, he has to flash away, and he just can't turn around to get damage out. He has to run for his life and hope that the Rumble ulti is maybe a little more accurate than it is. The Rumble still trades back 1, and Rumble gets a lot of the wave, so gold does go somewhere for BDE, but it doesn't go on to Psyche, so he can continue to build his lead. But there's another win.
Quickness coming in out of Mule Life, and a quick flash to answer for Saint Malay, and a good use, but that is the quickness and the Featherstorm both out of the Abyssal Sapphire bot lane to trade only 1 flash.
And honestly, this has been, even though they haven't gotten a kill so far, the play from this Xayah Rakan duo has been fantastic so far. I think that Jinx is very, very favored in this matchup against Xayah due to the range difference. But because of Rakan's ability to find engages and Xayah's ability to follow up, every time Rakan hits a W and off...
What? Well, we're going to have to take a look at the replay, but not even enough time. That's going to be the equalizer coming down, so much damage, and now the charm is huge, and a Mule Life can do nothing. That is an amazing encore out of Saint Malay, and right off the side, on either side of the map, Big Duck Entourage comes out on top.
And I was just about to praise them. I guess it's a caster curse with the jungler comes down bottom and punishes the Xayah Rakan for all of their, I would say, very good aggression so far this game. And Rammus just cleaning up the wave, but now even Xayah Rakan, who had an advantage throughout this lane, it's nullified now with the kill going over to Jinx, and their Abyssal Sapphire's early vocal strong point with the jungler pathing towards bottom to try to help them, with them having so much kill pressure on the Seraphine Jinx, even though I don't even know if they should. They lose it all in that one big play by Rumble. And again, Colonel, it might be too early to say, but every time I see a game, I gotta say it at least once, it's looking like a fraction of a Diffie in the Jiffy right now by Swag Money Boy on this Rumble. He has been playing so well so far. The ultimate top was a little off, but he knew just to make a play right after.
Absolutely. And I have to give him a lot of credit. We didn't talk about him in the pre-show, but Swag Money is a name that a lot of people will recognize within the community. He has always found himself on top of incredibly strong performing rosters. He did find himself last season making it to finals in EDL, as well as going out in quarters in ZGG. So he has had success. He is a name that everybody will recognize. And he's showing why right here.
Yeah, and I mean, with all this comp experience he has under his belt, you end up picking up a thing or two at least. And I mean, he proves it week in, week out that he is fit for the comp scene, that he's fit to play these comp champions like this Rumble, which is, he's basically learned purely for competitive play. And they start to get the Drake stack on. And I think that this is a great tempo advantage that they've gained off of these plays that he's made off of the back of these Rumble just roams and ultimates and everything.
The equalizers have been on point, except for that one in the top lane, but we'll ignore it. Well, it never happened. But that is going to be the Drake over. Important to note, it is a Mountain Soul. So we talked about the lack of a front line for Big Duck Entourage and how much stronger a front line Abyssal Sapphire has, and maybe Mountain Soul, excuse me, is going to make a big difference there. Talk me through that.
Well, I think that Mountain Soul is probably the second best soul in the game behind Ocean because Ocean just provides so much power through its healing. But Mountain Soul is going to fix a lot of their problems. Psyche is going to have an extra shield. Rumble's going to be able to somewhat frontline. Seraphine's not going to be able to be one-shot. Neither is Jinx or Orianna. This is one of the most powerful Drakes in the game because it makes champions that aren't tanky, tanky. And when when your squishies become bruisers and your bruisers become tanks, it tends to become a problem for your team because they get the upside of all of this damage that these champions output without having the risk of being a glass cannon. So this is probably one of the best Drake rolls we could have seen for Big Duck Entourage as they go towards Soul Point. Because if they do get this soul, with the way that their comp is structured, I think on the spot it might be GG. I think that this is that powerful of a Drake for their comp and what they need to win this game.
Absolutely. So we will see if Big Duck Entourage can continue to get Drakes after they did get that first one for themselves there. And if you take a look at the minimap, look at the ward coverage for the side of Big Duck Entourage onto their bot lane. This was what was the bright light, the good moment, what we wanted to see out of Abyssal was this bot side, and they are completely warded up. The only way to get in for Darkstar is this back bush like he is doing, but when your bot lane continues to push in wave after wave after wave, Rammus is having so much trouble actually getting anything done here, and on the opposite side of the map, they're about to crack open the first tower of the game.
Yeah, and it is a good play. I would say it's a little late. Swag Money Boys should have gotten it down in time to obtain the plates. But with that said, the W does go wide of the Rammus, so they know the Rakan's in the brush, but they don't know the Rammus is there, and I think that's trouble.
Oh, that's going to be a lot of damage. The Encore does stall, and that's the TP coming out. Darkstar has done a lot, and there's going to be a counter TP as well. There's going to be a lot of damage coming out, but now there's going to be more TPs coming in through. That's a good amount of CC. Ornn is going to pull the Ornn Horn. That's a knockup. That's so much damage. Corki got on the double kill, and Xayah will find the third, and right when we started to write them off, Abyssal come out with a hell of a fight.
Absolutely, and they made the first good play, forcing out the TP from Psyche. Psyche comes in, but the TP, I think, is the right play. As we look at the replay here, the W going wide is a very, very clutch skill shot for Rammus to dodge here, and then they get the all-in, they get the engage. This is good. The charm is great, but it should be a disengage call. We don't need to go back in. We don't need to fight here. But they recommit to the fight. It's too little too late. We all line up perfectly for a nasty root by Xayah, which basically carries this fight, and all it takes is Ornn to just clean up the job for the rest of his team, as a very, very late TP comes from Orianna once they realize that it's too little too late. And just like that, Abyssal Sapphire are back in this game, Colonel.
Yeah, and a lot of it coming off the back of their mid laner. James Moriarty got 3 kills. He is now so strong. He does have a CS advantage as well. As if we could take a look at the gold, I have a feeling that he's going to be having a lot more, and he's already has over 1,000 gold more than his counterpart, and maybe he is the savior that Abyssal Sapphire needs.
Absolutely, but even scarier, there's a 2k difference in the top lane for Psyche still. So you see that he's up 1k in his own matchup, but his team is still down 2. So, definitely, I'm a Corki simp. I'll be honest, I'll say it outright. One of my favorite duos is a Corki player, and I think Corki is one of the most amazing champions with a lead that you can find in this game. So if any champion can take 3 run with it, I think it's Corki. And I think that if these kills landed on someone else, I would still be rather pessimistic for Abyssal Sapphire. But with this Corki having 3 kills, the Mermana coming in, if he can just finish Shield Bow and hit that Sheen Spike with the package Colonel.
He's going to be using that, and it goes down instantly. Seraphine will lose her life, and just as we're talking about him, he is
and
showing
that's what I was talking
exactly
about, Colonel.
why.
With the damage, this champion is insane.
That was
So much damage.
incredible. And now, right when this Drake spawns, we talked about how Big Duck Entourage wants to be stacking these Drakes as the Shockwave will find two, but doesn't do too much. And with the Drake alive and that pick at a perfect time for Corki using that package so effectively, they're going to be actually fighting for this. The Equalizer comes down. That's a good amount of damage. Jinx with the Super Mega Death Rocket going to be coming in as well, but it's just not enough damage right now. And now Psyche is going to be looking at, they're trying to fight this. The damage comes through. That's a big knockup. The root is massive. The Blade Caller tears him down. Combo tries, but Swag Money cannot find the kill. Darkstar still does not die. And Abyssal Emerald live to fight another day.
I don't know why we're committing to that fight when it's so late. The Drake is down. We're going to see Rumble R come down here in a couple seconds. But look, we're down a man already. And we're not in position to take this fight. Orianna's walking to mid-wave. We burn the ultimate, and we don't get enough kills on it. We burn the Jinx Rocket. Now we have no ultimates. And the Drake is gone. We just need to let it go. But still, Psyche pops the ultimate. Psyche goes in, and we end up bleeding more kills and starting to give Abyssal Sapphire the neutralization, and the great early game from Psyche just starts to disappear with that play.
And we talked about the Corki. He had another kill. He got another assist. Now a 350 gold bounty over his head. This Corki is going to be massive. And now I'm not sure if Big Duck Entourage has the tools in their team composition to deal with the Fed Corki. If he plays it right, I think James Moriarty can take over this game.
I absolutely agree, Colonel. And I think the most important thing for everybody watching to look at right now is when does Corki hit Shield Bow and Sheen? Once he finishes that Shield Bow and gets that Sheen, this is the first time where we're already seeing Corki pump out damage, but Corki enters God mode on this breakpoint once he gets his 2 items plus Sheen. And as soon as we see him hit that breakpoint, we really need to look at the game and see where Big Duck Entourage is at. Because if this game is as stable as it is in 5-6 minutes, and Corki is on that 2.5 item point, I think this is super Sapphire favored, because I think Corki can just 1v9 with the amount of damage he pumps out on that 2.5 item spike. But if we look at Big Duck Entourages to give them some hope, we do have Psyche starting to trend towards what I think is a Sterax. It could be a lot of things out of that pickaxe, but Sterax is probably the best choice for him here. And if we see Psyche get that Sterax and find that right flank, there is a lot of hope for him. But again, this Corki has all the tools he needs now to carry.
He's using them one more time! Boomer! He's going back to the grave. This Corki has been absolutely popping off, and he continues to do so. You could absolutely see the damage, and he has yet to hit that breakpoint, just like you're talking about. God mode has not been online yet, and he's already 1v9ing this game.
And I guess we can even go back to it with the lack of the frontline we were talking about during the draft. There are no tanks! Corki doesn't need to shred through tanks. Do you see how much damage he does to 5 squishies? And because there's no tanks, there's no need to build armor pen. This champion can itemize pure, straight damage, and he doesn't have to go Allure Doms after his 3 items. He can just go straight into IE. This champion has no need to not one-shot anybody in this game and itemize any pen. So I think we're on board to see what a Corki can do if he's let loose. I'm excited.
Yeah, and important to note, he just did complete that shield bow, like you said, now 700 gold bounty on his head, and he did stop for an Executioners. I think that's a great call. The only real worry in this game at the moment is this top jungle. Psyche is so far ahead of Ornn. Look at that CS difference, still for 50. You see the gold right there, breaking, it looks like 2K now for Psyche on the Aatrox, and building an item that's built specifically for him is the only reason that Psyche is going to be able to frontline is because he can lifesteal, because he can be that drain tank. But all of a sudden, when his healing is cut in half, there's even more of a frontline issue for the side of Big Duck Entourage.
Yeah, Colonel, absolutely. And I think we haven't even considered the fact that ornaments are coming in soon. And I can only guess one place where the first ornament is going, Colonel. I think, can you?
This is a tough one. Can you spot it?
Can you spot the shield bow on the right side of the scoreboard? And And I didn't really even acknowledge that, but man, is this going to be potentially a devastating fight to the point where I don't even know if Big Duck should fight over this Drake. But I'm also not sure if they have a choice. I think they need to wait for Orianna to finish her Seraphs, but
They
Darkstar's caught out.
potentially caught Darkstar. That's a lot of damage. The Flame Spitter is doing so much work. He's trying to channel the Q, but he's going to get rooted up. Now, Oran's going to pop the Oran Horn, but that's so much damage coming back, and Swag Money Boy falls. The red carpet comes down, but now Corky, he's unlocked at the bottom. He finds the kill. That's a Shockwave. He's going to find one. It almost barely doesn't find two. Now flashing forward. Orianna's keeping going. She's going to get the double kill. Can Oran knock her down? Yes, the Brittle Proc does come in, but now look on the bottom side, and Corky has overstayed his welcome. He's going to fall, and that is a 4-for-3 advantage, and BDE is going to get themselves the Drake.
And that fight is absolute chaos, Colonel, as the Drake goes over. Look, Ramus is caught out. We decide to pull the re-engage with the Oran Horn. We find it onto Rumble. Rumble gets popped. James Moriarty goes in with the Quirky package, dealing so much damage, but the Shockwave finds it, and the flash over the wall on the top side of the map, while Syke and James start going at it on the bottom side of the map, and Poopers just falls to the Oran as James can't take the 2v1, and it's just an absolute clash of titans on the bot side with a beautiful outplay by Poober on the top side, and Poober really drags his team back into this game with that Shockwave and that flash over, securing those kills and winning his team the Drake. It's chaos, Colonel. It's chaos in week 1.
Absolutely, and this mid lane matchup is so important to look at because at first it looked like James Moriarty was just head and shoulders above Poober because he was just got such a big advantage, but Poober is showing where his strengths are in these team fights. Absolutely perfect with the Shockwave, exactly where it needed to be, and stalling for the rest of his team to be able to solo out James Moriarty without James Moriarty getting reinforcements, and that's what needs to happen. But remember, they do have a gold lead. The team comp is not in their favor. They have to continue to find those advantages, and it does not get easier because as these Mountain Drakes continue to stack, the next fight is going to be an important one.
Absolutely, Colonel. But I think there's a more important thing to consider here now that we start to see these team fights take shape. Though there is no front line, though they do get outscaled, there's something very special about Orianna when she's locked in. This is why the champion's so popular. This champion is almost 44% win rate, and it's still locked in almost every competitive game there is to be played. And it's because this Shockwave can just win games. It doesn't matter the gold, it doesn't matter the advantages that both teams make. The Shockwave lands, and it could be GG. And I think James could have had a solo kill angle there. That's why I started to pause.
Yeah, I thought so as well, but he decides not to pull trigger. Does want to get the back. He does have the item power spike, just as like you were saying. He does have that sheen now with the shield bow, the Muramana upgraded as well. So we'll see. I mean, he's been running amok in the back line of Big Duck Entourage already, but with these items in his pocket, let's see what else he can do.
And the one thing I would say for Corky is, though the package was really hype and it was really, like, wow, crazy Corky package onto 3, he instantly has to flash away, and then he burns his flash and he's not with his team. So I feel that if I were Corky, I think we need to be more tempered. We're level 16 in this game. We are level 16. Our jungler is 12, our top is 13. The only person who can even compete is Syke, and he is a level down. We just need to sit behind our team and spray and pray with our Corky turret, and we just need to machine gun him down. And I like the hype, but we just need to be more careful and more tempered with Corky here, because I think that's the win con. I think Corky just has to press all of his buttons while he's standing behind an Oran, and the game is just in the books. But if Orianna can find that Shockwave, if Orianna can flash into the backline, find something amazing, or if Corky decides to go in and aggress and he's picked off, there are still windows for a Big Duck Entourage to win here. It just is going to come off of what I'd like to call hero plays. They can come off some things that are a little hypey.
Hooper is going to get flashed on. Darkstar looking in with the ultimate. Now he's going to get taunted up. The TP is here, but it's just way too late. You are gifting yourself over after your mid laner has already died. The CC is there. Ultimate coming down. They're trying to save their top laner, and the damage is coming back through. Now the Encore will find 3. Big charm, but Swag Money is losing his HP really quickly. Guardian proc, so important to keep him alive. and the health bars are going down, but just not fast enough. The double knock coming in, and that's just too much damage. He's gonna fall, and now looking in as well, another shutdown going over to Rammus. He finds his second, and that's going to be the Baron going over to Abyssal.
And I mean, you kill 4 right around a big objective. I wonder what you're gonna hit next, and that is Baron going over as we look at this fight here. Psych TP's in too late. Uber's already dead. We can't salvage this play. Swag is like, no, Psych, don't do it. So Swag Money Boy runs in, and now Seraphine and Jinx are like, guys, wait, we need to get out of here. And everybody just runs in one by one by one, and it's just devastation as they try to save their teammates as we go in and give away a ton of kills, giving Abyssal Sapphire complete control of this game. As the next Drake is spawning, we're gonna start to see, I believe this is free.
They are pinging that they want to come here, but the Drake has already spawned. It's not started immediately, so the Rumble is going to be able to get here, maybe on time, but they are bursting it down so quickly. We'll see if a steal comes in. Psych and Hoover are walking in, but that Drake going over, the knockup is there, and now the trigger's going to be pulled. Red carpet goes down. It's a lot of damage, but it's already 1 kill going over to Quirky in the backline. Aatrox is going to get 1. He's going to heal himself up. He's actually keeping himself alive and keeping his team in this fight. The Ornhorn will find 1. Rammus is knocked up, but Darkstar is there. The taunt is there. That is 1 more kill. Now, Psych, you have nowhere left to go. Rammus is here. Can he find it? He's going to have to blast, go straight back over. The knockup, bouncy castle. He's going to go straight back to the grave. And that's a 3-for-1. Abyssal continue to push the pace.
And again, another fantastic team fight from Abyssal here. This is the nastiest Ornn knockup I've seen in a while. That is sweet. He finds the perfect engage, the Quirky package in. Again, having to reposition with the flash. Could have been a little less hypey. Psych gets the heal up on the top side. But look at this Quirky in 3, 2, 1. And instantly the fight is turned. Quirky with 1 rocket turns the fight on the top side of the map, and Psych is caught out because his team no longer has the HP to help him. Psych pops over, accidentally auto attacks. It's devastation, and that's a 1 fight for Abyssal Sapphire.
And as soon as Big Duck Entourage won their fight minutes ago, they said they had to continue to win fight after fight because they had to push the pace. Otherwise, Abyssal would scale, and unfortunately, the scaling has arrived. We talked about that ornament, and check out Quirky's inventory. He has it unlocked. He also just bought even more with that BF sword. He is so powerful. A 400 gold bounty on his head and 50 CS to his name over Hoover in the mid lane. And I really don't know if there's a way for Big Duck Entourage to come back from this.
I think if you see any bright spot from the team fight that just happened, as Quirky has 13,000 gold, oh my goodness, almost 2,500 up on Jinx and 3,000 up on everybody else on the map, which is massive for this Quirky. This champion has entered the end game. This is Avengers. This is an Avengers level threat, Colonel. And I think that the most important thing for me for Big Duck Entourage, if you're going to take any positives out of these last 2 failed team fights, is Psych. It takes time to take Psych down. This Aatrox lives for a while. Quirky had the heal cut, and it didn't matter. Psych healed through Quirky with the Grievous wounds. So what you need to find here is, while Aatrox is distracting the Quirky, we need to maybe get a pick on Desire or Khan here and create a 3v5 mismatch. And maybe that's how we win. Maybe we win off the mismatch here. And that's
definitely the ticket that they have into this game. But last fight, all that time was buying was chipping away at the shell of the tankiest turtle you have ever seen. They took the entire team, 3 people hitting this Rammus for the entire time that Psych was drain tanking. So hopefully that time can be used more effectively in the next fight. And with a minute 45 until Mountain Soul spawns for Abyssal, I'm not sure if they have enough time to get the items they need to win this next fight.
I think we might have to see a bit of a trade deal, if you will, go on here between these 2 teams. If Big Duck Entourage are going to get back into this game at all, they have to start forcing Baron as Drake spawn. I know that it's risky, and I know that you have to give Mountain Soul, but the only way I see them coming back into the game here is they trade Baron to stall for Elder, and they play their Baron timer out as safe as possible, and then they just clear waves until it's time to fight for Elder, and maybe we look for something there. I know it's hard, I know we outscale, but I don't see an even fight being taken now around Drake, and it being winning for Big Duck Entourage. But it does take a lot of bravery to give up that soul. As we're talking about this super powerful soul, I think that if there are any carry combo to do it, it is the Jinx Orianna with extra rumble damage, having that demonic laid on top. There is a lot of shred here that we're going to see and a ton of damage. But I think it takes a lot of bravery to still give up a mounted soul because it's considered such a high and valuable thing for every player ever. Well, we'll see what happens. As it looks like the dream is for them to contest. So I think they're setting up for the contest here, and I think that this is the deciding fight.
I'm not sure if this is the correct call, but this is what they're going to go for. Now, both the mid laner and jungler for Big Duck Entourage were trying to complete the Zonias. Only one of them was able to do so. Orianna did just complete it. Rumble is still sitting on the stopwatch, but they both do have those actives, so make sure you watch out for those in the fight. And Corki, on the opposite side, did finish his Guardian Angel. So watch out for him. That could spell doom for BDE. Now Rammus is trying to stall them, trying to look in. That's going to be the Dragon Slade. And now looking in with the Grand Entrance. The knockup is there. There's so much damage coming out already onto the Jinx. Now she's trying to turn back. The package into the backline has so much damage. There's going to be one kill traded over on both sides, but it's just too little, too late for BDE, and the damage just continues to come through. Trying to kite it back. Frag Money is going to get flashed on. He's going to get killed. Now James Moriarty is trying to continue. Abyssal New Life, can he survive? He's going to flash away. Rammus gets the one kill, and everything went perfectly for Abyssal. There was just nothing they did wrong, and now trying to chase for that skill. They want that ace. They want to finish them off, finish their chances, and BDE will fall.
Yeah, Colonel, I mean, you can't... I could see you killing Corki once, but I don't think it could happen twice as we go into replay here. The engage is just chaos. James Moriarty goes into the backline this time, but he's like, hey, I have GA! And he just starts shredding the backline. They do find a good turn kill on the other side by Psych and Swag Money Boy, but now they have to run for their lives. Swag Money Boy goes the wrong way, and Psych turns back in desperation, but I just don't think it's the right play. I don't think it's enough. I don't see a way out. Maybe we run for our lives and try to survive it, but no. We give a couple more kills, trying to find something, and it's the ace for Abyssal Sapphire. And Baron!
That was the Baron. The Rocket, Super Mega Death Rocket. I appreciate the attempt from Leo, but it does not come to fruition. And now it looks all said, but the crying for BDE, as they'll need an absolute miracle to come out of this one. There's even more ornament so far. Now the Xayah, she has been quiet so far this game, but has quietly got herself to 3 items, as well as that Gale Force being completed. She is just about on pace with the Jinx, who at one point was 3-1-1. This Jinx has been unable to do anything in these fights, and now it looks like Abyssal just has to start pushing in.
Yeah, and Colonel, I think we talked about it in pregame, where the only way, I said that the way that Big Duck Entourage win this game is if Jinx is always running forward, there's no need to have a front line, but this Jinx is stuck, constantly kiting back without her get excited, and it's just honestly too hard. It doesn't matter how strong this champion is, if she's not allowed to free hit, it's just danger. And a little funny tidbit, by the way, Corki did sell his Executioner's Colon, which is why Psych healed so much in that fight to finish the GA, but I do not think it matters.
As they're pulling down, that's the shockwave is not going to land. Chubby Bunny dodges away from an Abyssal New Life, can pull trigger to re-engage. There's so much damage coming into Poobin. The knockup does not land, Zonia'd away, but it is only going to stall his death. Now the charms coming through, the Encore doing so much there. The root, so far they're trying their best. Now Leo, he's gonna find a kill. They actually might be winning this one. The Resurrect, that's going to be important. Can they finish him off as soon as he comes back in? They get the knockup. He's gonna find one kill before he dies. And now Rammus is going in. He's going to find the kill on Jinx. Carries are down. Actually, still alive. Psych, he will find the kill onto Darkstar here momentarily. Takes him so long, but that was potentially the best case scenario for BDE. They played that really well, and a 3-for-3 trade, but losing the inhibitor.
And James Moriarty, I'm a believer, but what are we doing, man? We can't go in this deep. 1v3 tries to take them all down. We get one kill, but uh-oh, we're alone and we're in trouble. And it gives the shutdown over. It finds it onto the Seraphine, which is a little unfortunate, but still, gold is gold. And again, I've been saying it all game. We just need to sit behind our front line and let them protect us while we hit. And there goes Quirky's GA, there goes his shield bow. This gives Big Doug Entourage the opportunity to fight around Elder, and once Elder is slain, if it's a 50-50 smite, if you can force the situation into a 50-50 and the smite falls to Big Doug Entourage, Jinx can go ham. Jinx can win this game all by herself. She does not need anybody else to do it for her. Orianna finds a shockwave onto 2, that's 2 dead people. And I think that this is a big missight from Abyssal Sapphire in a game that we thought was closed. There's a glimpse of light for Big Duck Entourage here, Colonel. There's a glimpse. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
And that end of the tunnel is Elder. 1 minute and 20 seconds until it spawns. Securing that for either team would be massive. That is the ticket that BDE needs to find themselves back in this game, to get this Jinx finally carrying these team fights like they need her to be. But look at the river. Look at the ward coverage. It is all red. Abyssal has everything covered, the entire river, even pushing into the jungle, and it is going to be a tall task to even step foot near this Drake pit, let alone fight for it.
And if I was Big Duck Entourage, I don't even think I'd be clearing my jungle here. I don't think there's a point. I think we push a wave, we pick mid or we pick bottom, and we walk through river together and we force a runway fight. I don't think the position is conceded by Abyssal Sapphire because Quirky is picking up package, which is a little bit of a scary ability at this point in the game, Colonel. But I think that we force a runway fight. I don't think we try to poke and prod at them over the wall. If we get all group with Psyche here, maybe there's a chance, but this position is so favored for Sapphire, as there's just no semblance of a team fight. We're in a corridor. Cooper is chunked. Oh, no.
The big rocket did so much, and now right as it spawns, Huber trying to heal up with potions up to barely half if he's lucky. The Drake is started by Orianna, actually,
and
but Orc is going to be taken over.
Colonel, the position is seated. They can take river if they so choose. Just walk into it. They get river. This is more than you thought they were going to get, Colonel. And it might be a 50-50.
Watch James Moriarty on the side. He has the perfect angle for a package. He's doing so much damage with those rockets. So much space for his team. Super Mega Death Rocket does not land. They're already starting to channel the back. And now that's going to be the knockup. Coming out, Call the Forge God called. 3,000 HP is going down. Psyche is going to try and do it all himself, but no, it goes over, and now the fight starts. That is not the time you need. The Encore comes in, the charm going over, but that's one slay already. Chubby Bunny finding that kill from downtown. A second one going over to the Xayah. The knockouts continue. Corky will find a double kill of his own. The TPs come in, and that is the nail in the coffin for BDE. They fought valiantly. They tried, but it is to no avail. The Nexus turrets will go down. Rammus will try and fish for yet another kill, but that is the end of the game. One more just for fun, as the Nexus will fall, and Abyssal goes up 1-0.
And we get the spectator buck at the end of the game. We don't get to see the beautiful explosion, but it seemed at the end of the game, if I were to describe anything to describe Big Duck Entourage's last team fight, it was uncoordinated. It seemed like Psych really knew that this was the end of the game. He really wanted to go in, and there had to have been someone that comes being like, no, we need to base. No, we can't do this. No, we can't take this fight. And we're half in, half out, and then the Elder falls to the enemy team. But look at that damage on Quirky Colonel.
Adios mio! That is ridiculous. James Moriarty did so much work. He absolutely carried this team, and as we scroll through them, I have to give a lot of credit to Psych. He had the right idea. I think you're right. Someone must have called away from that fight, but it was the last hope. And unfortunately, the communication just isn't there. Team fight happens just a little bit too late. And Abyssal Sapphire, they come up 1-0 so far.
Yeah, Colonel, and Game 2, looking beyond to Game 2. What does Big Duck Entourage have to get back into this game? I'll start. ban Corki. We can't see this champion again. There's no chance. We don't have an answer. We've shown we don't have an answer. We had the counter pick into Corki blind, and we picked Orianna, and it wasn't enough. This champion needs to be off the board if Big Dog Entourage have a chance to win this game. But what for you do you see Big Dog Entourage needing to get back into this game in game 2?
I think the biggest thing is rethink what you're looking for in draft. I think this draft set you up for failure. It's a much more difficult team fight to play. You have to be playing so much better than the other team. The other team has such a simpler time. Just Orin Ramus walk forward, roll forward, and let your carries do what they do best and just damage everyone back to front. They played such an easier composition, and maybe that means going to the drawing board and drafting yourself something easier to combat it. But this team comp just wasn't it.
I think you're right, Colonel. There was a bit of a identity crisis of what they wanted in draft. They either have to commit more for, hey, we've drafted 2 scaling carries, let's get us some form of a front line, or we are playing an early top jungle. Let's have a scaling Jinx, but maybe we bring, or let's have a scaling Orianna, but let's bring more aggression to the bot lane. Let's aggress in multiple points. Let's put multiple pressure points, because when another team opts into scaling against them, they do just get outscaled. With that said, I don't think it was completely draft. I think that they had windows to win the game if their play was just a little cleaner. But I do think that draft remodel needs to come here. I think there needs to be a little more tricks up your sleeve. With the way that I saw Abyssal play scaling and how comfortable they looked scaling into the game and how they looked better and better each minute as each minute passed, I think you do need to relook your draft strategy if you're Big Duck Entourage. I think that you can't attack this team standard and expect to win at 40 minutes. This team looks strong in the late game.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at how both teams adapt going into game 2 in just a couple minutes. We will take a quick break before we go into draft for game 2 of Abyssal Sapphire versus Big Duck Entourage. Stay tuned.
Jack it up.
Hello, everybody. We are back with game two of Abyssal Sapphire versus Big Duck Entourage. This is going to be a big diversion from game one. I hope a lot needs to go back to the drawing board for BDE because that game just felt so hard for them to play. And hopefully, going into this one, they have a completely different game plan ready for us.
Absolutely. And I think the big key word we're looking for here is cohesion. We need our draft to do the same thing as a team so that we can have champions that are stronger in the early game. We can have champions that are stronger in the late game, but we have to center ourselves around one big idea. And I think that some of the champions on BDE wanted to go forward and some of the champions wanted to kite back. And that disconnect there was enough to just let Abyssal Sapphire scale into the late game and win. As for ban changes, besides Corky, I don't think we'll see any. I think that as the timer expires, I believe that they're giving their first ban up for the E sub. And rapidly Abyssal Sapphire is firing back with the same bans. I think that this means that this has to be Corky as our ban. We can't let it through again. If I were Abyssal Sapphire, I think that I'm not even sure if they can punish a B1 Corky. So might as well lock it in. I'm that high on the champion, but the ban does come through, fortunately, Colonel. And let's see what Abyssal Sapphire have in store for us on blue side.
So I do want to point out that Abyssal Sapphire did change up their bans despite winning. They did move the Ivern up in priority, which left up the Kale. Is a great pick. We've seen Sykes' success on it. As far as I know, I think it is still technically flexible in the mid lane as well. I have seen a couple games in Puber's match history on the champion, but I very much expect it to be in Sykes' hand. And if they're going to change their bans, it better be for a good reason, as BDE is going to lock in the Ezreal for their AD carry.
And I think B1 Kale is so bold, especially when you're playing into Psych, because I know that this champion scales well, but especially if you have to pivot at mid lane, you give up so much early by having a kill mid. And even with the kill top, do you really want Psych to have that much of an early game advantage? This is super bold from Abyssal Sapphire. I know I said they can play
Yes.
the scaling well, but the Camille comes out from Psych and ooh. Kale, this might be the wrong number, my mans. This is danger.
I
This
am
is early
so
danger.
excited to see Camille. Psych has been such a scary player to play against. He's been absolutely popping off, and what a champion to do it on, especially in a matchup like this. Sejuani is locked in for Abyssal. Remember, Kale is melee for the first couple levels, so that does have some synergy to help Kale out in the top side. But we'll see if they do win that or top jungle 2v2. We'll see what the jungler of BDE is later on in this draft. But with their last pick, looks like they are going to match AD carries and flexing off Aphelios into Tristana, a champ I really like. It is flexible as a bot or a mid. So we'll see where that decides to go.
And I'm very curious to see what Big Duck Entourage have in store as well, Colonel, because they're hovering a lot of junglers. I think that means we're going to see a jungler here, which I think is the right choice. And it's the Volley Bear. And I think that's maybe the right pick. I'm happy with it. I think that Volibear can dive the kill. Volibear can set up for the Camille stun. I think there's a lot of punish potential because all of the attention for Big Duck Entourage, already only seeing 3 picks, has to be topside. You have an Ezreal bottom. You're looking to punish top. They can't let this kill get around for free. But Abyssal does have room for a lot of tricky stuff in phase two. They still haven't picked a mid. Maybe they're waiting for their top laner to be locked in. We're not sure. There's a lot of flexing still to be done here from Abyssal Sapphire, and maybe it's standard and we're seeing a Tristana ADC and a kill top, or a Tristana mid and a kill top, but who knows if Abyssal Sapphire have more in store for us here with phase two just around the corner.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the second ban phase, both teams so far setting their eyes on the bot lane, specifically the supports. Mule Life looked so good last game on the Rakan, and Saint Malay had some struggles on the Seraphine. They decide to ban it anyway, and now bang off the Morgana. Strong support has also seen a lot of play in the jungle, but obviously not this game for BDE. But with all those bans secured, I'm very curious to see where BDE goes, who they decide to give counter pick. I would like to see that counter pick in the mid lane, considering you know your bot lane is going to be a weak side lane, but maybe they know more than I do. They do lock in the Vigar.
I'm personally not happy with this Vigar pick here, Colonel. It doesn't exactly play into BDE's comp super well, and it doesn't deter Abyssal Sapphire's goal. It matches their scaling, but again, we have Volibear and Camille who want to go forward, who almost need to go forward, and we have an Ezreal Vigar to back them up, who want to kite back, who want to play slow, and again, we're seeing a mismatch in them again, and Abyssal Sapphire just Mundo top. It is a Mundo top Kayle mid Tristana ADC. They do flex it all around on us, and now these drafts are looking very interesting with a Silas locked in at the last pick. And
Oh,
give me a second, Colonel. Is that a Vigar support?
that has to be a Vigar support. I still am not a fan of Vigar as a champion in this composition. Like you said, it just does not necessarily fit, especially adding in the Silas. You have yet another champion that really wants to go in, wants to be the aggressor, and Vigar doing very much the opposite. He would love to see you coming in, but a little bit of a lack of cohesion, just like we saw in game one for BDE's draft. But focusing on a very strong top side, similarly to what we saw in game one.
Yes, but with that said, Colonel, Silas is going to absolutely run all over Kale for the first 6 levels of this game. Sejuani better be hovering. Sejuani better be on speed dial, Colonel. This is danger with the Silas being locked in R5 here. I think we see Camille Volibear Silas as our top side, and maybe the draft idea is we're going to win top side so hard and try to snowball out the game like we tried to do game one, and Vigar Ezreal are our cheese outscale. Like maybe we can cheese a play with Ezreal Vigar where we one shot someone to get a pick late game, right? Maybe the thought is we're not really looking to team fight, right? We're looking to set up for picks and win our early game and be able to have position over everything because we're just so far ahead. And maybe that's the idea here, Colonel. But at least for the first 15 minutes of the game, this is going to be all BDE with the champions that they do have locked in.
Yeah, and not only is it just BDE in the early game, it is BDE's top side. It is Psych, is Swag Money Boy, two players that we have so much knowledge of, so much admiration for, because they've constantly been outperforming the opposition in every league that we've seen them in, and now they're really set up for success. I would love to see if they can get some tower dives up in the top side. Volibear and Camille, both champions who would love to do that, and I think if Dr. Mundo can survive, if Dead Shark can stem the bleeding and make sure that advantages aren't found up there, then again, Abyssal Sapphire, has a good advantage if the game goes late.
Absolutely, Colonel. And I am curious to see where these champions finally line up for the side of Abyssal Sapphire, because is there anything special to be seen? No, it is exactly what we expected. I was just curious, maybe they were going to do something a little spicy that we weren't expecting. Um,
Just mid Kale bot would have been very
is
spicy.
Triss mid Kale top, Mundo mid Kale top would be my only interesting point, but I
It's
don't
like
know what
funny
exactly
support.
I was thinking, but it
Oh.
didn't happen, so it's okay. uh,
Yeah, I think I like the ideas that Abyssal Sapphire had, and the amount of flexibility in this lineup when they drafted it, leaves them in a pretty advantageous situation. But regardless, you have to remember Red Side always has that last pick, and I really do love the Silas pick, uh, especially after deducing that Kale is going to be mid, because Silas is going to have so much control of the mid lane, and we can see, does Puber use that mid priority to enable Swag Moneyboy to run over the jungle matchup? Because if Volibear can get ahead, if this top side can do work, Ezreal is built to play safe. Vigar is built to not get engaged on. Their bot lane is going to be the weak side regardless. So I think I do like the idea behind the draft this time around for BDE. It's just, can they execute?
Absolutely, Colonel, and I think that you're spot on there where it's almost a mirror of game 1. We wanted to see some more tricks up our sleeves. We did see a little fancy flexing going on in our draft, but at the end of the day, we are getting a scaling comp that is all in on scaling versus a comp that is looking to do things on one side of the map while letting their other side of the map be safe, be weak side, and scale. Now the question is if this is the strategy that BDE are committing to, can they execute on it? And I have more faith in this draft than I did last one. I think this draft is super interesting. The Silas is such a crazy pick here. The Sejuani ultimate is fantastic. The Mundo ultimate, I'm not sure on the ratios, but that sounds insane. The Kale ultimate is ridiculous. The Tristana ultimate is good disengage, and the Alistar ultimate is even useful. This champion has a lot of good options here, and it really just opens up the chance for this team comp to run over the early game and to create such a huge advantage during the first 15 minutes. But the big question is, Colonel, at the end of the day, do you believe? Are you a BDE believer?
Time around,
Do you believe in the big duck energy?
I have to say I do. I think this team comp is much better than the last one. I think Camille is set up for success. I think Puber has so much to choose from, so much potential, excuse me, for outplays. I think this time around, I expect BDE to come on top.
And Colonel, I think I'm with you here. I like the draft. I like the change in plans. I think the window I see is James might just, I mean, this quirky player was insane. What's going to happen when we're on Kale and we hit level 16? This player definitely has room to carry, but I am a believer in the early game that BDE have provided. Let's see if they can pull it out here, or if Abyssal Sapphire can shut down everything they try to do and play proper late game team fight and outscale and take this series in a very, very determined 2-0.
Absolutely. We will see right after this break. Stay tuned for game 2 of Abyssal versus BDE. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. We are back with game two of Abyssal Sapphire versus BDE. This team comps looks super exciting. And take a look at the summoner spells. There's something a little bit interesting. Paul, walk me through this.
Ah, we have Mr. Hypercarry himself going for the biggest solo plays with Camille missing a very important summoner for some, but for Camille, this is exactly what you want if you want to solo carry a game. This was popularized, I want to say at the beginning of this season, Camille going Ignite TP, where it gives Camille the option
Paul, I
to
have to
solo kill. And
interrupt.
we're getting it! We're
You
getting it! Let's
finally
go.
got your desire. A five-man in the top side. Mundo so far not to take the bait. Now they're finally walking. Mundo has spotted them. I'm not sure if this is gonna work out. They will get the ward down, but other than that, it will be nothing more. Sejuani and Tristana both walking in. It looks like they're probably going to be able to get trade wards in. They do. They don't put one on the buff, but they do put one in the path. So Volibear's the Volleyball's pathing between Wolves and Chicken Coop will be spotted out. But overall,
The
just a
ward is
trade
just
division.
wide of the bush too, Colonel. It's a little tragic. I
Oh
won't
no.
And with that said though, the Camille taking the Ignite TP just gives her an extra base, just gives her that kill threat. It basically makes it so that she's very committal to one way. She can't get out when she goes in, but it gives her that insane solo kill threat with the Ignite added to her arsenal.
Absolutely. Also, something important I want to mention. It's not incredibly uncommon, but Saint Malay on the Vigar does not go for a damage rune. Does decide for a defensive supportive option, which, to be honest, I do agree with, considering they are the weak side of this map. They are not the focal point. This will be the psych show. So overall, I like the decision.
I think that Guardian is the right choice here, and I think it has more so to do with Vigar being put in the support role. A lot of enchanters, which is sort of what Vigar is cosplaying in this game. He's pretending to be an enchanter that casually one-shots you at 35 minutes. Um, it's very important to go Guardian, especially when you're in a losing lane, especially when you're playing a squishy champion like a Seraphine, like a Sona, in this case, a Vigar, where you need to protect your carry in some way, and you aren't innately tanky, so you have to go this rune. So I think that more so than it's a choice because it's weak side, it's also a choice because you are the support and you still need to help your AD carry farm and get resources throughout the early game, which Guardian allows you to do.
See how he's able to use that summoner spell, or I'm sorry, that rune. But if we take a look at the jungle pathing, both junglers are making their way up to the top side. We do expect this from BDE, maybe not as much from Abyssal. They will potentially be fighting over this Scuttlecrab. Volibear will look in. He'll get slowed. He won't be able to Q. But Silas and Camille both have priority in both the top and mid lane. So that is going to be the Scuttlecrab going over to Swag Moneyboy. And I will see if Darkstar's able to rotate around. His bot lane does have prio for the bottom Scuttle Crab, but we'll see if Volibear is able to do anything more with this and if he tries to contest on the bot side as well.
I think that if Volibear started kiting down earlier, this would have been the correct option, but he may just be too little too late. Who knows if he makes the play? It looks like Silas has rotated over Solo Colonel, and there might be a fight.
He's a little bit early here. He's going to get CC'd out. Darkstar will get positioning on it, but they're positioning like they want the fight. I don't think it's the correct decision. There's the smite to secure it. It was on a ward. With that bot lane priority, like I was talking about before, there's no way for BDE to contest. So overall, despite both pathing to the top side, a trade of scuttles for both junglers.
Yeah, and Colonel, I think we're seeing what we mentioned about the coordination as a good trade is taken for Puber, but nothing comes of it. We're trying to see a little bit of that. Some of us went in, some of us went out. We're not really sure what to do. We're definitely seeing a bit of maybe week one jitters, week one anti synergy coming out here from Big Duck Entourage because I don't know if they were sure if they could take this fight until the scuttle was down. and I think it ended up costing them a lot of time for the Volibear.
Yeah, we'll see if that does end up biting him. But Kale did get poked out, did have to use all of her potions, but decided to stay in the mid lane to be able to shove this out. She does have the Sejuani nearby in case something were to happen, but Kale should hopefully be able to get her back off right there. She's going to start channeling. So, so far, a pretty uneventful early game.
And I think that's music to one team's ear in this game, and I think Abyssal Sapphire want this to stay. If this could be the scoreline in kills 10 minutes from now, 15 minutes from now, I think that Abyssal Sapphire would be very, very happy, and I think we haven't been giving them enough credit with the way that they've been playing the scaling this series. It's really looked very controlled and compact, and it looks like everybody's on the same page. And I think that's the impressive part for me. It seems like each person on Abyssal Sapphire understands what their role is in the game, and no one's trying to hero play except the Corki package once or twice, but we don't have to talk about it. Maybe we're 8 kills deep and we have a little red in our eyes. But I think that as a team, they're playing very well together. And I think that's something that has kind of gone silent, as if that's a natural thing for comp teams to have. I think it's been very impressive how cohesive they look, despite being, an amateur team in the amateur scene.
Yeah, it's very much not the norm down here. Is very much fighting at every point. So I love the control because they're so well aware of what their draft wants, where their strong points are, and where their weak points are. And a lot of it comes from this early game. If they do overforce, that's exactly what BDE can use as a ticket to propel their early game and start to push the advantage. So just like you said, I think they're doing a great job. But I gotta give BDE some credit. If we take a look, actually, that's gonna be a lot of damage. The ultimate coming out. Wow, I didn't even catch that one. It came so quickly, and it's gonna be a trade of ultimates. The hijack going to get straight back both divine judgments used, and overall a trade of ults. But Puber will lose his flash for the cause.
And I think that Kale played that fight super well, Colonel, because she waited for Pooper to press R first. Because how the interaction between the Kale and Silas works when there are two ultimates in the game, Kale ultimates in the game, Kale has to press the ultimate second, or Silas has to press the ultimate second. There's a lot of interactions like this. You see this between Kindred Rek'Sai, whoever presses ult first loses. It's whoever's forced to pull the trigger first has to completely disengage because the timing is the same, and one is invincible and one takes all the damage. And that's just the sad part of it.
Yeah, and really well done. And we talked about his performance in the last game, but that's a flash forward from Swag Money Boy. He's trying to get the Q. He will get it. The cage comes out, and that gets the flash. But there's another stun on Tristana. She was not able to buffer that initially, but finally able to get out. That will be the ultimate used from Tristana. But as for trading in the mid lane, shouldn't result in too much. But overall, trading flash for flash, Swag Money Boy will lose his, and New Life will trade.
And I think that that pressure is enough for Drake here. I don't think they should contest. They're walking as if they
Uh,
are going to,
he's
and
got
they're
a
in the
flash going
pit.
over. Uh, He's gonna look in. That's gonna be a good amount of damage on Swag Money Boy. The smite comes down just for the HP. Now Volibear ultimate trying to keep himself alive. He's doing so much damage. First blood going over to Swag Money Boy, barely able to keep himself alive. And now the TP coming over for the Mundo. It already arrived is Psych, and that's gonna be yet another kill. 800 HP is the Drake. A flash out, and Red Team will secure it. A second kill going over, and I didn't even see it coming, but that will be the kill, and potentially looking on the mid lane as well. The E from Puber not going to land, but a good advantage for BDE early.
Yeah. And run, Psych, run. The top lane, the wave. He has to run to his wave very soon. But I don't think they should go for this play. They need to understand that the prio on Drake is them. It's really close. Swag Money Boy gets a perfect smite off. The ultimate just saves his life, and maybe that makes the difference. But Once we can't TP in here after it's chaos, it's danger. Mundo TP's down after the fight is done and has to flash out, and that's both of his summoners gone. Or Psyche still has Ignite, and it's the most important thing that both of these teams have not been doing is understanding when we have to cut off a loss to play. We need to cut our losses at some point. When is that point? And League is an emotional game. That's a really hard thing to just cut off. But it looks like Psyche's actually in trouble, Jimmy.
Psyche looking in at such a poor time. He's going to get stunned up, locked down, shut down, falling down into his grave. And Abyssal will get their first kill of the game onto the Mundo. Exactly who would want it the most in his specific matchup. He just wants to survive, and that gold will go so far to get him towards some defensive items, getting towards some resistances, and a big overstay from Psyche.
Yeah, absolutely. And quickly back to cutting our losses, it's really important to understand that because a lot of these teams are giving up large advantages just because they're afraid of letting their teammates down, and that's something that can't happen.
He walks into the stun, last second, the damage. Oh, 5-4! He tries to kill. He's gonna die. Ezreal going to die to turret, but he does find the kill. The misplay from Leo. He tries to Q through the wave. Wow. Let's take a look at that replay.
And the auto just doesn't land as we go back to the play. I believe it's going to be just about now when the replay came in. What we're going to see here is Ezreal is going to miss his ultimate wide. Chubby Boy has to dash, has to flash, has to move around, still walks into the stun right at the end of it. One auto isn't enough, and the Tristana bomb just doesn't land onto the Ezreal in time. Maybe if the auto instead, it isn't an execute. But because Tristana isn't able to get off any damage before she falls, the Ezreal does burn his summoner moving forward there, but Tristana does not get a kill under her belt in return, so it's still a pseudo-successful dive from Big Dumb.
We take those, says Leo. But that will give him some decent gold in the pocket if we could switch to the gold real quickly. He does have a little less than a kill's worth of gold as he's also able to collect this wave, so it should end up with more at the end of the day. And if we take a look at the rest of the gold around the map, I want to point out the top side. There is so little of a difference. It's within 100, but that is including a 20 CS difference for the Camille. That goes to show how important getting that kill was for the Mundo, able to keep himself alive in this matchup and start to push back against this aggressive Ignite TP Camille.
Yeah, and I think that the window for Psyche as the Bramble Vest comes in from the Mundo has quickly come to a close, and honestly, just like that, it's Mundo can survive this lane now with the Bramble. As I was hesitating because I thought Sejuani was in a bit of danger, but it seems that that was not the case. But
that's a lot of damage in the lane. There's going to be so much damage. James Moriarty, he's trying so hard, but Boomer, he just goes through. James Moriarty knows he has to use the ultimate later, but he ends up not using it at all. He will fall without ever getting a chance to use Divine Judgment to keep himself alive.
Wow, and I mean, exactly what we were talking about on stream with the delaying your ultimate, and Kale realizes she's trapped. She realizes that she needs to ult first, but oh no! I'm not ulting second, and it looks like Triss is caught as well, Colonel.
No, again, trapped in the cage. Now, a great headbutt going over to Swag Money Boy. He's going to have to burn the flash for the cause. And now the ultimate coming in. The TP is coming down behind. Can they get a kill? Melee is going to find it, but now James Moriarty is here. He's going to try and get the damage out. But Swag Money Boy is just so healthy. The Guardian proc going to keep him alive. And now Mew Life, he's taking his turn in the baby cage. The headbutt actually may have kept Swag Money Boy. Ignite, one more tick would do it. He does find the kill, just barely. It looked so doomed, but the last tick, it saves his life. Or I'm sorry, ends his life and saves Mew Life's attempt at a kill with that last tick.
I could feel Mew Life's eyes widen from here. as he headbutts the Volibear away on 10% HP. Luckily, the Elastic Knight tick has it, but let's look at the replay. The recap from Volibear is just so much. The TP comes in for James trying to salvage the play, but I don't think it's enough as the damage comes down. But Sejuani starts to arrive, and it's a bit of an overcommit now as Swag Money Boy goes under tower, costing him his life with really no need to do so. So it's a really fortunate situation for Abyssal considering what they had given up. And though the scoreline is up 3 kills, this game is still very close. As Dark Star's going in, Colonel.
Poober bursts his flash to try and break the eye, and that's going to be some good CC coming back. The TP burned. That will be Sykes as they will stop the Rift Herald, but that's going to be the stun. That's the lockdown coming in from the Hextech Ultimatum. It's just so much damage. The ultimate is perfect from Kale, keeping them alive. And now it looks like no one will fall. There's no re-engage either. Tristana was not there, importantly for Abyssal, for the re-engage option. But now with Drake alive and health boards low, this is going to signal for BDE to start it up.
Absolutely, and their burst damage at this point in the game is just so fast that Drake melted, and fortunately this time we see no contest from Abyssal. This is very important. I might be preaching this for the rest of the game. We cannot commit to things that are lost. It is okay to lose some objectives. We just can't bleed more. We're playing scaling. We're down 2 Drakes, but it's okay. We want to fight around this Drake at 21 minutes. So in the next 5 minutes, Abyssal Sapphire have to be in a position to be ready to fight, but that doesn't mean they should be fighting like they did around Drake 1, and it's good to see them turn it around for Drake 2, because they need to just wait.
So far, the lead is by no means insurmountable for the side of Abyssal, but that's going to be a double stun right on top of each other. That's a good amount of damage. It shouldn't result much out of it, but if you take a look at the gold, it is about a 2k advantage. And if you see where that is, a lot of it is on Saint Malay. This Vigar, this pick that we weren't too sure about looking in the draft, is getting a lot of gold in his pocket. And that means a big difference when you're talking about ever trying to engage onto the Ezreal, onto the Vigar, when that cage is constantly being up and he's starting to do some work in the bot side.
Absolutely, but I think the even more interesting thing, Colonel, is besides having a Vigar support is if we look at the items, Colonel, do you see anything that looks similar on the side of Big Duck Entourage item-wise?
Uno, dos, tres. I guess we are all gonna get ourselves a Sunder. Take one for the party. Silas and Vi are the only ones that are not gonna have it. Paul, is that really the correct decision here?
So, Volibear, when he goes top lane, does have the option to go Sunderer when he's playing into tanky matchups and he needs to side lane and duel. We did see some nerfs come out from Chemtank. I still think the item itself is fine because they only have been really nerfing the active, and the active is still strong. At the end of the day, it's still a Righteous Glory with a slow. Nothing is going to come of this play. But the Ezreal as well isn't going...
Huber has arrived on the flank from a roam from mid lane. The stun is there. The Tristana ult being pulled. I think Alistar ult would have been so much more helpful as the damage comes through. You don't have the resistances. I feel like an Unbreakable Will would have been so important there. The TP is used, but that is a life given over to Abyssal. And when there should be pushing the advantage, instead they give over more gold to Abyssal to continue to stall out this game.
Absolutely, Colonel. And as for the Ezreal still going Sunder, it's not necessarily the wrong build in this game. There are 3 tanks, but I would have preferred to see the Essence Reaver into Murmana into Sherelda's Grudge. Now, this is a lot of itemization tech and options. Maybe this just isn't the best Ezreal game.
Damage topside thing. Nice coming down. Psych! You've got to be kidding me. Say Psych right now. He gets a solo kill onto the jungler. That is incredible damage coming out of this Camille.
My goodness, I kept talking because I didn't even know if there was anything to come to this, but Psych with the Q2 on Camille just explodes Sejuani's health bar, and I guess that's why we're picking up so many Sunders. We're looking to get through these tanks, and if this is the way we're going to win this game, so be it. I think that it's very interesting that we see 3. It's a little funny it's maybe not the best thing in the world, but if we're teching our itemization to fit a comp, this is the tech. This is the maybe we need our items to help us out a little more here against the 3 tanks that we have up against. But Colonel, I mean, honestly, this game is very close so far, even with the 2 Drake advantage. I think that a very pivotal point coming up here is Drake 3 in a minute, because if Big Duck Entourage can create themselves a 3 Drake advantage and force soul point early, they could very well close this game. But if Abyssal Sapphire can survive Drake 3 and maybe obtain it for themselves and stall the game out longer, I think they can outscale and win. So I think this is a super pivotal moment for this game, Colonel.
Yeah, and if we take a look at Abyssal Sapphire's items, what kind of tools do they have at their disposal for this fight happening in 30 seconds? Actually, Darkstar may be looking for something, but no. There is a little bit of heal cut. I have to assume that's for Volibear plus Silas. Silas does have the opportunity to take the ultimate from Dead Shark. That sadism can be so much healing. So I do like the decision, but it does mean that they are a little bit behind the curve compared to BDE in terms of their itemization.
Absolutely, it is definitely needed, though. I don't think it is. I think it is the right time to buy it, even though it does slow down the pace a little bit. And it looks like they do have a good angle to collapse here, but whether or not they're going to take it, they kind of have to fight this, so they're pushing onto the pit kernel, and it's a fight.
That's the ultimate coming in. That's so much CC. Swag Honeyboy trying his best, but that's the dragon going down. There's so much damage coming in, but the flash forward for New Life, he's going to be able to escape. Now the ultimate coming through. That's so much damage. Pooper, can he flash out? He does, but that's going to trade kill. Psyche is going to find one. Now James Moriarty, can he carry this fight? He's going to get some good damage out. That's another kill coming over. And it looks like they have to run away. Vigar just isn't able to get anything else done. Damage does not come through. And now Vigar, I'm not sure if you're escaping this one. Mundo does walk into the cage. So it may mean that he escapes. The last briefcase lands, but it's not enough damage. But still, 1 for 4 in favor, of Abyssal. And they're able to get the Drake. That's exactly what they needed.
And the 50-50 falls to Darkstar, and that is a huge smite. That is such a pivotal moment for Abyssal Sapphire Strangler to come and clutch. The smite happens. The ultimate saves Tristana just enough to deal 5 or 6 more autos. That Shark is on the back side. Pooper gets over the wall here, but he just gets popped, and then the fight's over. I think if Pooper can live for 1 more spell rotation longer, or maybe hit a chain onto a more priority target, they just win the fight straight out. But Pooper explodes, and then it's just over for the side of Big Duck Entourage, as Abyssal Sapphire are able to clean up, and now we're starting to enter that scaling territory again, Colonel. They have the late game, and we're starting to arrive in it.
This is deja vu all over again. The exact same problems that we saw last game, when as soon as you start to falter with these early game compositions, it gives you so much less space to make mistakes, because you have to continue to press the pedal to the metal. But this time around, remember, BDE did give themselves some more cohesive scaling options. They do have the Ezreal, who will scale into a monster. Camille, of course, in the side lane is always going to be a beast. And of course, Vigar, who, again, still very strong. 203 has yet to actually fall. But this is a very tough road ahead of BDE.
It absolutely is, Colonel, and now there is still hope for them with Baron up. They can, if one team fight one at this point in the game before next Drake spawns, is huge, because if they find a pick like they are now, Colonel,
that is going to be a lot of damage. The stun comes through, that is important, and now that must be him falling. Shut down, going over to Volibear.
Baron, I think they have to turn straight out to the Baron, Colonel. They have to start hitting the Baron. Don't wait, just hit. Your timer's starting to run out, and they decide to just push waves instead. It's so devastating. They finally find the pick that I was going to say they needed, but they just do nothing with it. They need to start hitting Baron. They should recognize that they're running out of time, and they need to start pushing the tempo.
They decide against doing so, and we'll see when that comes to bite them, but that's going to be a good amount of damage on the top. James Moriarty doing so much work, but that's going to be the ultimate. He has to use it first. Alistar ultimate being the one used for Hoover, and that's going to be a shutdown. The W coming through, so much damage, and the King Slayer finds another victim. James Moriarty not finding the same success he found in game 1.
Yeah, and oh no. It's just another pick comes through. We have all of the vision in the world. We walk into their blue side with all of our wards already up. We don't place anymore, and there's just no threat in onto the Baron. And now they're
Uh-oh.
picked.
What are you doing? He's going to have to get away. He just found the kill, but he's going to fall all the same. And that is a huge misplay. There's no other way to describe it. They will not turn onto the Baron, but they potentially could have. There's fighting in the bot side. It will force out. I think the ultimate was actually forced out of Dead Shark here. And the Ignite's used from Psych as he will run his way back. I assume he's probably going to try and get it back off. But that is yet another falter for the side of BDE.
Absolutely, Colonel. And I'm less pressured for Abyssal Sapphire to go for this Baron off a pick. Picking Silas there is great, but we don't have to go for it if we're Abyssal Sapphire. We have time. We have a Kale and a Tristana. And we don't really, and we have 3 tanks to sit in front of them. We don't really care if the game gets drawn out another 10 minutes. Whereas each time Big Duck Entourage, if they decide to play this early game comp, they have to go for plays when they are there, and they haven't been. So here we are at Drake 4, and I think this is it. Big Duck Entourage have to win this fight, or I think Abyssal Sapphire can take over this game.
Trying to get as much poke as it can onto Darkstar before it starts. Still 10 seconds until it spawns. But the vision is very much in favor of BDE. Dead Shark is on the opposite side. He can potentially flank. Sight goes over the wall, but the Scuttle Crab is secured. So that's even more vision. That's the TP going to be taken out. It's Kale who is arriving. She is level 14, and that's the cage. The stun's coming down. That's going to be a good amount of damage. But St. Mori is going to be able to back up. That's so much damage. Chubby Bunny will fall. Can the rest of his team continue to go forward? Mundo is just sort of running down the back line. Now Swag Money Boy has to use his smite to stay alive, and on the backside, Psyche is going to find 1 kill. Now, the ultimate coming out of Kale. This is so close. The health bars are so low, and that's going to be Boomer. Going in further, that's 1 more kill. Going over to Camille, double kill going over to Psyche. And that is exactly what they needed right when they needed it. 1 to 4 is a trade, and they will get themselves their 3rd drink.
And Colonel, that fight was so split from both sides, overextending, not knowing when to stop, not knowing when to disengage the fight and refocus the objective. And this fight is real chaos, so let's try to break it down here. There's a big center fight, a lot of ultimates coming down. Ezreal is getting walked down by Dead Shark, where Kale is just not able to free hit at the moment. Silas comes in, and maybe Dead Shark needs to start peeling back. Dead Shark needs to stop over chasing and come help his team. Because Swag Money Boy and Poober now get to go to work on the Kale. The Kale does down the Volibear, but it's not enough because Poober gets to flash out, and Darkstar steps too far forward. You have to realize the fight is over. You have to recognize your own health bar is at 5%, and you can't keep fighting. But because of that, everybody walks forward from Abyssal Sapphire. We get a little more than we need, and that's another 2 bonus kills going over, as well as the Drake for Big Dunk Asheraz, bringing them to Soul Point.
If we take a look at the gold real quick, there is a little bit of an advantage for BDE, but take a look at that top side. 4-2-2 with a 90, I'm sorry, about an 80 actually, CS lead for Camille. She is massive compared to this Mundo.
Absolutely massive. And I don't know if she has picked up any heal cut yet, but if she has, she should be able to absolutely run over this side lane. I think the backdoor threat or the split threat that Camille now provides is enough. There is a lot of MR on the side of Camille. I would like to see an Executioner's Calling come out because she does need it. This game isn't that bad of a game to go Bramble, though I think Camille still wants to prioritize damage. So if she does obtain that Executioner's, she's going to be able to absolutely run over this side lane matchup with Mundo. Because as soon as he presses R, he's not going to heal nearly as much as he should. And with a 3-level advantage, Camille should be in a prime position to just solo roller all over Dead Shark.
Absolutely. I have to ask, and instead of looking for the heal cut, does go for a Hex Drinker? Walk me through this. I'm not too positive why this was bought by Psyche.
If I'm honest, I'm not exactly sure either. It does deny him the ability to go Starax as well because the shield pop. So it is very, very interesting to see. I think it's for the Kale, though the Tristana is going to be able to deal a lot of damage. I just think it's a bit of an oversight from Psych. I can't really justify it myself. Maybe he just likes the item just like people like the GME stock, man, you know? Sometimes you just like the stock. So,
Hoping it sends him to the moon. But so far, his gold is already there, and he's going to try and look to fight off Darkstar in the river, get some space for his team. But so far, they have to continue to push this advantage. They got to look for a pick and potentially start this Baron. The Baron is alive, still 2 minutes until the Drake, and with the entire team rotating, they do have the majority of this river warded, except for that scuttle in the middle. They do start it. I have a feeling they will not stay on it, however.
I agree, but I do think that this is their time to start putting pressure here. I think they should start walking down river and looking for a fight with maybe Sejar. I haven't seen Silas take Sejuani yet. I think that's something very disappointing to me because the reason that Silas jungle became OP 2 years ago was because it was a huge counter pick into Sejuani jungle for the ability to seal its ultimate. But I think the Baron is starting, Colonel. Okay.
They do pull off of it, and it's crazy to see that Abyssal is the one to start it instead of BDE, when BDE is the one on a time crunch. They are the one that will eventually have their backs against the wall when it comes to scaling. You have to assume in these team fights. But now pushing down the mid lane is Abyssal. Now they're going to be looking in for the fight. Sejuani doing a good amount on the back line, but her health bar just gets shredded. Now Volibear going in. That's a huge Stormbringer, but Swag Money Boy knocked up and shut down. And now Camille coming in. That's going to be a killing spree. And the fight continues to go over Kale. She's doing so much work. Leo is barely able to keep himself alive. That's going to be a 1-for-2 for Abyssal. That's exactly what they wanted. And a 5-on-5 team fight is not what you want if you're BDE.
And not only was it a 5-on-5, but it was a 5-on-4. Silas had to run from Baron Pit and flash over the wall just to arrive late. If we look at this fight break out here, Silas is nowhere to be found. They're stepping up. Darkstar gets the engage off. Psych goes to turn it. They get a little too excited, and they see Volibear go in, and it's too early, too soon. The kill ulti comes out, and now Silas flashes over the wall just to trade a kill back onto Tristana, but it's too little, too late, as a lot of BDE falls in return, and we at least have to burn a lot of summoners as well as a 2-for-1 in the end.
Oh, you hate to see it. Cooper still has the Kale ultimate available. He was not able to use it. Now a TP coming down into this Drake right as it spawns. BDE are looking for the Cloud Soul here. We haven't talked about it. The Cloud Soul would be so beneficial for a champion like the Volibear, who just has to run forward. It has to be that engaged threat. And it's going to be straight given over. They are not going to even contest.
But it's Baron time, Colonel.
Yup, that is going to be the trade, and James Moriarty is scaling up. He has enough items that he can start to shred this, and is going down already. Is less than half HP, is going to continue to fall. Now they're actually turning off the Baron. They're looking for the fight. They're going in. Swag Money Boy trying to tank it up, but Chubby Bunny flashing forward and right into Volibear's arms. There's so much damage. The Swag Money finally able to find the kill, and that's exactly what they needed, a big overstep. And now they continue onto the backline. James Moriarty using the ultimate, just what he needs to do, but it's just too little, just too late, and Ezreal will get the shutdown. All going over to Leo, and you said it was Baron time, but it's BDE who can start to take it.
And I think that fight was just very miscommunicated and clunky from Abyssal Sapphire. Our Sejuani isn't even in the pit. Our Sejuani is zoning, which is a very strange choice. And then we get zoned out by the Vigar cage. The Vigar cage is enough. We were talking about how we didn't like it, but it completely smurfs the fight here as the three frontliners of Abyssal Sapphire are just in way too deep. James Moriarty is trying to hit as much as he can. Tristana ends up dying because she jumps in and goes too far. And now we see a much different game. We see BDE have claimed their soul. They have exactly what they need, and they have the Baron. So if they can start to push the tempo here and they can close the game out before Elder spawns, their window is now. They are back in the driver's seat. They do have the chance to close out this game, Colonel.
My biggest problem with these fights is that what we praised them so heavily for last game isn't happening. They want to have these front-to-back team fights. They want to have Dead Shark and Darkstar standing right in front, but Dead Shark is running way off on his lonesome to try and kill off the backline like that's his job as a Mundo, while his backline dies and dies and dies. Tristana's on her 6th death. If you fight front-to-back, you have so much more, but now you might have missed your opportunity. BDE is in the driver's seat. They have all the tools they need, and the Baron pushing in. They will do a 1-3-1. So Juani and Kale are on the top side. We'll see if they try to punish Psych, who is split pushing up here. James already comes out of the bush, right into the waiting arms of Darkstar is Psych, and now the stun's going to come in. He's going to E, but he cannot get over the wall. He'll use the Hextech Ultimatum, but it's just too little, and that's a 900 gold shutdown. 900 gold going over 600 of that shutdown, excuse me. But that is the push in the mid lane. That is the tower going down. TP forced out to defend it. We'll see. They actually look like they wanted the fight there, but nothing left to get. They will lose turrets, but they do find a pick.
And that is a really good pick to find, Colonel, because that slows down the Baron push here. They can even choose to fight right now with Kale on the way. Deathshark's walking forward, trying to get things started, but it's just not enough. But again, the pick is massive. Yes, they trade towers away for it, but they stop BDE from taking the base, and that is the most important thing here. And with that 900 gold shutdown going over to Kale, we might see this Kale start to deal a lot more damage. And this is a very good sign for Abyssal Sapphire when the game looked very dire.
So far, James Moriarty has had a lot of trouble coming online like he did game 1 on that Corki. Oh, this is interesting. He's looking in, missing the E is Poober, and now he might have bitten off more than he could chew. He should be able to get away. Chubby Bunny doing the rocket jump, but cannot get there. But buying space for the rest of his teammates to push, but the rotations are just there quick. They weren't able to push in time. And so far, BDE has yet to be able to get anything else.
And they have not, and it looks like Baron timer is up very soon as it falls right now. And it's a very good push held, but Poober might be out of position, Colonel.
Poober, what are you doing? He's going to get stunned up. He will have to take the Alistar ultimate, use it just to keep himself alive. And traded out is Darkstar's ultimate as well as Mulife's. He did use it just moments ago, but a minute and 30 until Elder spawns. Everyone has to go back and base. Silas is backing now. There we go. All the backs being summoned or channeled for BDE, and this fight is going to mean everything for whichever team gets the.
And Colonel, I am a little worried about this Tristana at this point because she did opt for the Lord Dominic's Regard instead of the Infinity Edge because there aren't a lot of tanks in this game. Though, interesting note that we haven't really glanced over, this Vigar is going full tank, which is hilarious. And it works because of his scaling ratio, but it's really funny and it's kind of troll, so I can't necessarily speak on whether or not it's actually good, but it's definitely hilarious. But we're starting to see some itemization falters from Abyssal Sapphire. Kel goes Rage Knife when her only crit item is the Mortal Reminder. So she's going Rage Knife on a 40% crit item when Kale doesn't build Rage Knife anymore. There's no death cap coming out from Kale, which is very interesting. We're also seeing no IE when Tristana is only hitting a Volibear as the tankiest member, and the Volibear doesn't have enough resistance. And Darkstar's on the wrong side of the fight!
Darkstar able to get himself out so far, but that's going to be the ultimate Hextech Ultimatum, followed immediately by his own ultimate. He will be locked down. The CC was perfect. They collapsed on the jungler, and what a bad time to have such a poor positioning error. And now it looks like Abyssal are going to try and fight 4v5 Alistar, looking in with the headbutt pulverize, trying to get much damage in, but look how fast his health bar depletes. The ultimate coming out from Silas trying to keep him alive, but the damage is just not there. Psych is doing work as he slays James Moriarty, and the damage continues to go through. He will fall is Mundo, and that is a perfect ace. They don't need the Elder, they want your base. There's going to be the inhibitor falling, double TP in, and this could be game for BDE.
More so than could be, Colonel. This has to be game. This TP is so clean. This is an ace, and it is a frozen screen, which means we are going to Game 3 here in Week 1 of EGL. And Colonel, BDE, we were talking about them changing the strategy. We were talking them trying to switch things up. And they said, you know what, Colonel Paka, you're wrong. We're sticking to the style that works for us. And it works out for them in this game too.
Poof. Starting off EGL with a banger of a series. I'm so excited for Game 3. You're right. They stuck to their guns. And this time it paid off. I got to give credit. They really did try Abyssal. It looked good, but some of the fights just were not clean enough. Some poor positional mistakes and a lot of questionable builds. I think on either side. I would say I think missing out on IE third is so important for any AD carry, as well as Psych not having the Sterax. I feel like that would have been really helpful for him. But regardless, we're going to a game 3.
And we are, Colonel, and I am excited. These teams have been close all game. And honestly, Colonel, I don't know who takes it. I think that this is again the storyline at the beginning. We know that these teams are potentially underdogs in this league. We know that they are fighting for their playoff spot from week 1, and they are fighting over it with each other. So I think it's time for them to put up and show up or go home, because this is probably one of the most important games of your season, and we're only in week 1. So I'm very excited to see what happens next, Colonel, and I'm so excited for game 3.
We'll see who decides to show up and who has to shut up. Game 3 is next. Abyssal Sapphire versus Big Duck Entourage. Stay tuned for Game 3 Pro Draft. Hello, everybody. We are back with game three. BDE and Abyssal both tied at 1-1 and straight into bans. It's a lot of the same, but Abyssal says, no thanks, psych. No more of that, Camille. And immediately you're taking it off.
Absolutely, Colonel. And I think this means they leave either the Malphite or Ivern up here for BDE to pick a B1. Let's see if they go to choose that as their power pick. And also that means that Kale is an option. There is a Malphite, Kale, or Ivern left up for Big Duck Entourage here as B1. And all three are left up as they banned the Vigar, seeing that it was too much trouble for them to deal with as well. And
Uh-oh.
Big Duck Entourage is B1 Corki. Wow. That's very bold. Abyssal Sapphire can get away with doing something like that because their mid laner is just so proficient on Corki, but this is a very brave B1 pick because if the counters to Corki are played by Abyssal Sapphire's mid, this could spell like a very, very dangerous game. It
Absolutely. And to be honest, as Aphelios and Malphite are locked in, it seems like it's going to be much the same story as last time with already some great scaling options, a great front line, as well as an 80 carry in the back. But I'm not too confident about this Corky takeaway. They decide to do that instead because again they do lose one ban for an E sub. So instead, I have to assume they would have liked to take that off the table with a ban. Instead, they do pick it. But this time around, BDE is changing up the script. They will get swag money boys coveted Ivern pick. It was on the ban table both of the previous games. Finally in his hands. We'll see what he does with it, as well as some scaling of their own in the Ornn.
Absolutely, Colonel. And the strange thing to me is that they B1 Corki and there's still no counter pick coming up from Abyssal Sapphire. Instead, they are afraid of the Malphite, so they have to pick it away. And now these drafts are very interesting where Big Duck Entourage have gone into counterpick top, have their prio jungler, and they get to completely counterpick bottom on B4, B5 here. And Abyssal Sapphire still don't really know their direction for the rest of their draft. It's strange to say the least. I think maybe neither team will be able to punish hard enough for neither draft to be uncompetitive here in game 3. I think we're going to see two very competitive drafts. But again, very strange pick order coming out from Abyssal Sapphire, not trying to punish the Corki here. I think at this point we're starting to see almost a good Corki B1 because now, I mean, you would be blinding Corki here on blue 4, blue 5 anyway. And that's basically what they've given you. Which again is just very, very interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to pick with. Looking at that second ban phase, Abyssal focusing purely on the AD carries, a jungler and a mid laner taken off the table for BDD or BDE against Abyssal, but they will lock in the Sejuani, even more of a beefy front line, and waiting for counter pick in that mid lane.
Um, but counterpicking, well, there's nothing left for them to counterpick, and that's the interesting part. As the Morgana support gets locked in, very powerful. Could they go with Caitlyn here as their last pick? I don't think it's that bad. It could be a good choice. There are other options left up on the board, like Varus would be insane here. There's also an Ashe option. There's a lot of options for this team. This is such a pivotal pick, I feel, Colonel. See what they lock in. They lock in
You've got to
Vayne.
be kidding me. A pivotal pick indeed. Leo is confident to say the least. He will lock in the Vayne against Sejuani Malphite Thresh. Sounds like a very scary proposition. And Abyssal Sapphire, I'd be very interested, maybe perhaps even a bit concerned if they do lock in the Lucian. That would be in the mid lane, and it is locked in. So that will be Lucian in the mid lane for Abyssal Sapphire. Walk me through that pick.
And and Colonel, I mean, they wait for the Lucian on R5. For Abyssal's draft, it's standard. The pick order is weird. The final composition is super standard. If they have Philios Thresh R1, 2, and then Lucian comes in at R3, And then the Sejuani and Malphite follow in short behind. This is a very standard comp. Sapphire end up getting exactly what they want, but Big Doug Entourage's draft is so bold, and I think it ends up working out. I love this draft. This is such a good Vayne spot. Vayne has the ability to get around Sejuani, Malphite, and Thresh. Why? Morgana Black Shield, Ivern Shield. There are so many things to protect Vayne and initiate her in this game. Quirky is operating by himself. He can dodge all of these abilities by himself. He can stay farther back. He's a more of a self-peeling tool. And then you have Ivern, Morgana, and Ornn. These are three terribly powerful champions walking forward. Daisy negates a lot of what Lucian wants to do, because how do you kill Daisy with Lucian culling? And there's just so many positives from Big Doug Entourage's draft. This has been some amazing drafting. I think a little of it has been an unpunished, like Abyssal prioritizing comfort and takeaways over trying to punish Big Doug Entourage's strategy. But at the end of the day, Big Doug Entourage come out big in this draft, and I think this draft is fantastic for them.
All right. I have to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here because I do like the draft. The Vayne is a great pick here. The Black Shield can be so pivotal, can dip and dodge in and out of these fights and absolutely shred the beefy front line that Abyssal has. But Vayne is always a scary pick because of just how difficult it is to play her right. You have very little room for mistakes. So, Paul, tell me right now, this Vayne pick, you said the draft was good, but is it enough for BDE to get this win?
I'm going to have to put faith in the AD here. I'm going to say yes. I think that all the tools are set up for Vayne to succeed. You have an Ornn in front of you, you have Ivern in front of you, you have Morgana supporting by your side. There's so many tools to just keep Vayne alive, and then once Vayne gets online, it is dangerous. The lane is not bad. The mid-game fights are great. They outscale almost definitely. I see the quirky Vayne, Morgana, Ivern, Ornn outscaling this other comp. Even though it scales, I see the outscale leaning towards Big Duck Entourage. I think that if this Vayne can perform well, I'll put faith in this AD. I have the belief in Big Duck Entourage to take game 3 with this draft.
All right. I'm not too sure. I really want to believe, but so much faith being put into their E-sub, I'm not too confident in this pick. It's a lot of faith being put on someone that you have not practiced with. So I'm going to have to lean slightly in favor of Abyssal, but you have the drafts in front of you. Make your own decisions, guys. We are going into such a pivotal game 3. These guys both need to hit the ground running from week 1 to keep their playoff dreams alive, because really this is such a difficult group to get out of. Every team in this league is so strong, so every win matters, and way to start off the split for either one of these teams. But we will go into a quick break before we bring you game 3. Stay tuned. We are back with game three. I couldn't be more excited. Abyssal Sapphire versus Big Duck Entourage. This is going to be a huge one, and a lot of it changed a lot of our expectations in this draft phase. Paul, talk me through it.
Well, I think the most important thing we need to point out is that Big Duck Entourage are not playing the early game anymore. They are playing the outscale game, which we haven't seen from them before, but nonetheless, I am super excited for that. And Sapphire are playing a scaling comp, but they are playing Lucian with Aphelios Thresh, so they are playing two winning lanes, and that is very noteworthy because it's almost like we're seeing a bit of a switch in identity in terms of times these teams want to spike. With that said, Golem is taking Dark Harvest. I think this Malphite is not what it seems here, Colonel. We might be seeing something a little spicier come out in
Oh
game three
my.
here. Might call it the tech, give them a little bit of the 1-2. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, I'm so sorry I didn't notice this, guys, but that I'm pretty positive that is a substitution in the top side. Dead Shark is no longer going to be up against Psyche, going in with Golem, and maybe trying to take it by surprise. This Dark Harvest definitely something I wasn't expecting. Usually expect a Comet just to get yourself some pressure in lane, be able to survive that early game, so you can start to get tanky. But do you think there's a possibility for an AP Malphite here?
Well, you can't go Dark Harvest and start Jordan String and not go AP Malphite, Colonel. This is destiny. This has to be AP Malphite. If they went Dark Harvest and then went tank, I would just be very confused, to say the least, because they give up so much in lane by not going Grasp if they're going the tank build. There's almost no point. Even if it's Comet, at least gives you lane pressure to get out of lane on Malphite. But this is without a doubt in my mind a AP Malphite as the binding lands, and that's the scary part of that lane, Colonel. That looked a little dangerous, even though we just saw a glimpse of it. If that binding lands and Vayne's able to step up, oh, that Aphelios can just die instantly, which is the scary part.
James Moriarty gonna try and find himself a jungler. Swag Money almost hitting him there, but does not land the root caller. But some good early pressure in the mid lane, able to roam completely, make sure his team is aware of exactly where Ivern is. But we'll see. Both junglers are on the top side. Scuttle is soon to spawn, and a lot of trading in the top side. Golem is already 0 mana.
Yeah, that is the downside of this AP Malphite. This lane phase is pretty brutal to say the least, and honestly, I can justify it though. Hear me out, Colonel. It's the tech. It's the tech. We're running a double ADC comp and we don't have an AP jungler. There's only one option because now, if we don't go AP, we have no AP source damage in the game at all. And it's very easy for Psyche to stack armor without a threat of the side lane going wrong. Now, will the AP Malphite be enough? We'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see, but the idea behind it stands where we're running a double AD comp and we need a source of AP damage, so why not find it from the spicy pick? Why not find it from the little AP one-shot Malphite tech? It's interesting to say the least, and I think that it adds another layer to this draft.
I think more importantly is how much does he lose for not going Comet? Because already he is losing so much farm as Swag Money is going to get here. That is a great Dark Binding straight into the root collar. Condemn against the wall. That's so much damage, but the hook does land. Heal coming out, and they're not able to finish off the kill. Chubby Bunny will be hit by a binding. Shouldn't mean much more. And overall, actually, both summoners used for Abyssal and none being used on the side of BDE. So a successful gank for Swag Money Boy.
But not as successful as we'd like to see, Colonel, because the Vayne definitely had a window to go more aggressive and start to at least burn Thresh's flash, because Thresh was very low with 2 procs on him and PTA left to go, and it just wasn't there for him at all, as it seems that there's a reset and everything is calming down in the game. But I would have liked to see First Blood come out there for the side of Big Duck Entourage because, again, this Vayne is a very important focal point and needs to get online fast.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like it is okay for BDE not to find those advantages because, especially with AP Malphite, with the double AD comp like you were talking about, if they don't find them, I have a feeling they should be the ones in the late game that come out on top, especially with a Corki and a Vayne. So overall, they are chilling for now. Swag Money Boy taking a quick visit to the top side, taking the scenic route back to his wolves, it seems like. Um, and the Drake has now spawned. Darkstar is here. We'll see if he does go for it with this bot lane priority.
And I don't think that he's going to at the end of the day because Aphelios needs to reset for tempo because Aphelios is up so much farm. And if he can come back with a new quiver, which he is going to here, now Vayne is in trouble. This is their window. We saw this window in game one, actually, on the Xayah Rakan not going for the Drake so that Xayah could get the Noon quiver. We're seeing that window happen again where even though Vayne and Aphelios aren't that desperately far behind in gold, Aphelios is going to be walking back with a huge item advantage, which means that Chubby Bunny and Abyssal Life need to find that early kill now because this is their biggest window to start opening up the game for their team.
Yeah, and it's not too much gold, but considering how early we are, it was about a 300 gold advantage. That is the equivalent of getting the kill. So far, the lane dominance from this Thresh Aphelios lane is paying itself in dividends. We'll see if it can continue to do so. As Swag Money Boy having to visit the bot lane yet again, trying to stem this pressure. He's aware of where it lands, but if you check out the wave, it should be pushing as long as Chubby Bunny allows it to, and that should keep him safe from this potential gank.
Absolutely, and it's a little premeditated. You can kind of tell as Morgana and Vayne, who have not been posturing in the lane and shouldn't be posturing in this lane due to the item disadvantage, start to step up. You start to feel something is going on here that's a little out of the ordinary. But with that said, I think that all the lanes for Big Duck Entourage are going mostly as planned. I feel like this is a very nice and relaxing early game here from the side of Big Duck Entourage. And if Vayne can go pick up the red buff as a very strange GP comes in.
He does have the ultimate available. He does have the flash available, but the dark binding lands. He'll take the lantern back to safety, but TP used to no avail. And if you take a look at the gold in the top side, as he's going to have to back and go back to top side, the CS advantage is already massive. This is going to be one turret plate, perhaps two. So fight in the bot side river, it's a good amount of damage so far from the Sejuani. But Ornn is about to get a massive advantage over Golem after that failed TP.
Yeah, that TP was very strange because he should have used it to return the lane, and now Psyche is just up 1,000 gold almost, and that's scary. That is terrifying because I don't think this AP Malphite can come back to the lane and survive a brittle proc if it's done right by Psyche. He should just go maybe Merc Treads into on his way for his mythic here, and it should be enough. But the calling comes out, Colonel.
That is so much damage, forcing out the flash from Puber. He's able to pick up the spare blue buff that Ivern provides, but slowly the lanes are starting to very much cement themselves. Lucian is the winning lane for Abyssal, and that pressure directly nets them this Drake. It always cascades, and this time they are able to get the Cloud. The next one up is Infernal, which means whatever soul it comes will be an important one, either Ocean or Mountain still on the table.
Absolutely, Colonel. And this could be a very exciting game for Soul Point then, because people don't really like Cloud Soul as much as the other two or other three, because it just doesn't really provide as much eye candy when you start doing your thing, even though it is a very useful page. As
Look at him with the ultimate. He's going to find the first blood for his mid laner. He'll tank the tower shots, but he'll stay alive. Sejuani not even needed, continuing to farm up. That's a flash and heal away from Chubby Bunny, trying to look aggressive. Is this Vayne? She's trying to do so much damage, but the binding, it's not going to land. It's not going to matter, though. Leo diffing the bot lane, and now Abyssal will find the trade kill, but unfortunately goes onto the Thresh. That is a big difference in that bot lane 2v2.
Yeah. And even though it's a very exciting thing to see Golem run down here and get first blood over to his mid laner, he has now given up even more resources, which is just super terrifying.
He
Colonel.
has a proc. The knock does not land. Oh my god, the damage is still there. He's continuing through. Darkstar felt safe because James Moriarty had TP'd, but ends up burning his flash for the cause as 2 summoner spells taken out. Wow, what a great play. Maybe perhaps an overstay for Abyssal.
It wasn't exactly an overstay. I think it was just not understanding how powerful this Ornn is right now, because this Ornn has just been left alone as Malphite's been roaming across the map trying to get the rest of his team ahead. It's worked to an extent, as you see they're up 300 gold at the moment, but even though these other lanes are super ahead, it's okay. They're scaling. If they don't die too many more times, they can get to the late game fine. Psyche is on course to be an item up on Ornn on Malphite and just solo kill him almost on repeat because this champion has no resistances. I think it's dangerous. As Swag Money Boy's coming in for a gank here, Colonel.
He did lose Daisy. It took too long. He's flashing forward. The root's coming in. Binding will land on a different target. They will not be able to find it. And Vayne, the entire time, took so long to get there. She's standing still. She's going to have to flash away. Leo making a big mistake there and burning the summoner for it. And gank ends up going awry. They end up trading both jungle and ADC flashes for only the supports.
Yeah, and Colonel, the bigger problem with that is it didn't seem like, oh no!
Oh, Lucian on the flank. He's going to finally kill James Moriarty, finding his second of the game, now getting a bounty over his head. Darkstar is able to also get on the opposite side of the map, the Rift Herald. We'll see if he's able to escape this one. It looks like he should be able to. And just about everywhere, Abyssal is finding advantages.
Absolutely, Colonel. And I think that the play is a little overzealous bottom from Swag Money Boy and Saint Malay. Leo, I don't exactly blame Leo Diff for being late to that because it's just they were simply too far back. They had burned Thrush's flash early. There's no need for Ivern of all champions to flash in just to hit a root that basically deals 0 damage for a Morgana binding to follow up for just a maybe as their chance to get a kill. That's just way too many resources burned, and Leo ends up showing up late because he doesn't understand why his team that he has been practicing with are doing these over aggressive plays, and he ends up paying for it with his flash, which is just, it's a bit of a miscommunication all around. I don't think we can pin that one on mechanics, and at the end of the day, James Morty comes down through the jungle and cleans up a kill, making him 2-0 as well. So it's just disaster from Big Duck Entourage.
And now continuing the pressure, looking for a second turret plate in the bot side, trying to match up that top side where Psyche has gotten so many. They will get that right there. Even more gold in the pocket, despite already the 20 and change CS advantage for the Aphelios. So overall, Chubby Bunny in the bot lane is starting to build more and more gold in his favor as there's 20 seconds until this Drake spawns. Now, BDE is going to try and make their stand and collect this Infernal.
I think they are in a great position to do so, to cite the gold advantage, because Psyche has grouped with the team. And even if they're not super sure where Psyche is right now, because he's hiding in these bushes, if this Ornhorn comes out and hits the right number of people, this could be dangerous if Abyssal Sapphire tried to commit to this. It looks like they are. Darkstar is stepping up. He's in the river. It's a little late. Psyche starts to pull the Ornhorn now.
Ornhorn
the package comes
there.
out.
The Drake is already secured for the blue side, and that's going to be another kill as well. What a poor fight. And now the damage continues to go through. Vayne's going to find one. The knockup from Golem. He's going to find the kill, but that's another kill on the top side of the map for BDE. And yet another one. They will find one. But Abyssal will go home empty-handed with the Drake. Only Golem is able to find a kill, and it's at the cost of the entire rest of his team.
Colonel. When they have the position on the Drake, Malphite is still top. You have no idea what the HP is. Just back out. It's okay to give one. You don't have to commit to something that you're not even man advantaged here. The TP comes in, but Chubby Booty's already dead by the TP lands, and so is Mew Life, and now Marardi is trying to do his best carry impression, but he's not going to take a 3v1. And then Darkstar doesn't get his ultimate out until the fight is over to try to run for his life. You just can't commit when you're down numbers, and teams do it again and again and again, and it's proven costly here.
And now BDE with a decent advantage. They do have about a 1.5k gold lead in their pockets, and a lot of that actually evened out from the bot lane. We already had such a massive advantage in the top side. Psych was ahead, is ahead, and continues to be ahead. But check out that bot side where there was such an advantage, and now Vayne and Aphelios are near even.
And it is how devastating a play like that at the wrong time can be, because now it's BDE full steam ahead here.
Ooh,
as Pooper starts
doing a lot
going
of damage onto James Moriarty, and is going to force the flash out. Now, that's going to be the turret on the bot side, and Abyssal able to trade for that pressure in the mid lane, but so far, BDE can continue to press their pedal to the metal.
And I can't stress how important that mistake around Drake is for BDE, because it doesn't matter that Vayne's down almost 30, it's, I believe 36 farm, 30, now it's 34 farm. Now that, even though Vayne is down 34 farm, she's even in this game. Ivern's hit his mythic, Corky's hit his mythic. There are literally 4 mythics on the side of BDE compared to 1 from Lucian, and even if that's because our backtimers haven't come through yet, we're sitting pretty in this position if we're BDE, because our comp was the least threatening early game, especially after we decide to go AP Malphite. That means we have 3 lanes that are looking to do stuff during the early/mid game, and we're even. And we are almost deadlocked as this turret falls, and there's even an advantage for BDE now, and this is just... We're starting to see Abyssal Sapphire run into that timer that we were talking about all series for BDE, and it's just terrifying to see them have to play so well for the rest of the game.
Oh, how the tables have turned, because now exactly what BDE struggled with so often throughout both of the first games, now is Abyssal's time to get the brunt end of that. And maybe we'll see them handle that pressure just a little bit better than BDE did, but I think a lot of it has to come onto this Lucian. James Moriarty has a good amount of gold in his pocket. He does have the CS advantage as well. He has the Kraken, he has the Sheen, but that's a really difficult fight for a Lucian to navigate.
Absolutely, because unlike the Vayne, who has a lot of tools to be able to step up, both Lucian and Aphelios are rather short-ranged carries, and how much harder is it for Lucian to step up into the Morgana, into the Ivern, into the Ornn when they're standing in front of you, especially with the Corki packages raining down? Vayne's allowed to be this short range because of all the support she has for her, but it's so difficult. You're absolutely right. It's so difficult for both of these AD carries to navigate.
Yeah, but obviously, I think the Vayne is going to have a much easier time. Of course, she has that tumble to dip and dive around the fight. Also, she has the Black Shield, as actually, that's a poor time to aggress for James Moriarty. He's going to try and look at the damage. He gets the damage. He's actually going to be able to do it, but Daisy is here. She's going to find the kill. A trade, and not exactly what Abyssal was looking for when they looked to him to try and find an advantage, but he does try, and unfortunately, ready and waiting is Ivern. Swag Money Boy takes that and runs with it, and now with 16 seconds until Drake spawns, neither mid laner will be here.
And I think that's scarier on the side of BDE, because I feel like the comp from Abyssal operates better in the 4v4 early, but let's see, Colonel.
That is a big ultimate to miss. Golem just find nobody with the ultimate. Unstoppable Force does so little, and that's a massive knockup coming out of Psych. He's going to fall for it, but maybe, just maybe, has stalled his team long enough. The double kill coming over to Vayne. Chubby Baby now trying to trade onto it. Is he able to get the kill? No, he's not. Corky has arrived, and he's got the firepower to save his AD carry. Now is a 3v2. Drake is still alive, though. They have to stall for their teammates to come back, but it just looks too little too late, and they will have to succeed the Drake after such a pivotal fight loss.
Absolutely, Colonel. And there are some very, very important cooldowns here as we go into replay. The Ornn gets hooked early. It's a little too early for him to fight with Swag Money Boy so chunked out. Vayne gets hit with the R. It's looking so good for Abyssal, but the 4-man Ornn Horn before he falls is huge. The stopwatch just in time is absolutely massive. The Corki TP comes in. Leondiv looks like he's going to die, but Swag Money Boy is able to get over there with a shield that saves Vayne with the last auto coming through. And the combination of the Corki damage and the Iron shield gives exactly what we're talking about. Vayne the ability to carry these fights. Vayne had so many extra chances to auto and live because of the way the comp is set up around her, and now BDE are in the driver's seat in this game.
Having faith in their E-sub, Leo has performed so well so far and now set up for success. His team ready around him. Baron is alive. I don't expect either team to be pressuring it too aggressively, except I do expect that BDE has a rather fast Baron. But regardless, no pressure around it yet. And it is an Ocean Soul. We talked about that earlier, that it was going to be an important soul. And it is Ocean, which I think is arguably the strongest soul in the game.
And it absolutely is, Colonel. And let me tell you, with a Moonstone Ivern and Vayne with Ocean Soul, I am certain that it is a GG. If it gets there,
Shut down! Vayne, what are you doing? You cannot give up your life like that. Baron is alive. It may be too much for them to go for, but they're still gonna line up for it. They will start hitting it. This is a fight that BDE wants to contest. Ivern has stayed. Corki's trying to make his way here. Can he get here in time? The Baron is down to half HP. No, Ornn is going to be backing. They are not going to fight this. BDE live to fight another day and give over the Baron to Abyssal.
And Colonel, I hate to say this, but I'm thankful that a team in a very dire situation was not comfortable taking a fight where they were disadvantaged. Because Abyssal, this is great for Abyssal. This is fantastic for Abyssal. Abyssal are in such a great position to win. But BDE say, you know what? They can have the Baron. We have the wave clear. We can try to sit back and try to take their Baron push and see what we can do in this situation instead of taking an odd man fight. And I've been talking about it all series, so I'm going to take the positives out of the negatives here after a fantastic pick comes out from James that we don't see a team give away more than they need to. And this is so vital going into game 3 that they're deciding to stick to their guns and actually play out the game and try to stop this Baron push. With that said, Abyssal Sapphire have a lot of work to do here. They're in the driver's seat after... It's the driver's seat is going back and forth. This wheel is very shaky and rickety, Colonel. We are flying back and forth across the road as we're seeing who's in control, and this is Abyssal Sapphire's time to show that they know how to close out a game or create enough of a gold advantage that it doesn't matter that the game isn't over. It basically is dead to rights.
Yeah, to be honest, I have to give a lot of credit over to Golem. He had such a difficult early lane phase. He's still down such heavy CS, but he's now sitting 2-0-1. He has his completed Mythic. He has the Fiendish Codex, looking probably for a Zhonya's next with that cloth armor as well. But he has been doing a lot of work, and he has been offering that AP damage just like we talked about. He did force... Ornn does have Murktide as part of that, obviously, the CC combo between him and Sejuani. But that is important that it cannot be the armor that all of his carries have so much AD damage, and he's not able to get those armor boots for it.
Yeah, Colonel, and that could... And I don't know what pushes either comp over the edge anymore. I'm not exactly sure if it's like perfect itemization, if it's playing your comp to its fullest. I don't know in these back and forth games like this what is going to push this team over the edge. So let me throw it back to you one more time. What does BDE and what does Abyssal Sapphire have to do to close this game on each end?
I think a lot of it is going to be about Drake Soul. There is so much healing. There's a shield bow completed for Corki. Vayne can be shredding through all of them. Vayne can carry these fights, but Ocean Soul can be so important for Abyssal to survive it. And on the opposite side, you have so much burst damage coming out with this AP Malphite. You have the culling coming out from over top, being able to heal, being able to survive, and to come back for the fight just as strong as when it started. This Ocean Soul, I think, means everything for both of these rosters.
Absolutely. And when Quirky with the package, I mean, Swag Money Boy sends out the Scouting Daisy, which is rather interesting. But Gollum is over the wall. He's got
That's a massive ultimate! That is so much damage already, and now the fight looks doomed before it even started for BDE. That's 1 kill going already, but Ornn, he's able to find one. Psyche, he's doing really well. Vane's able to get one as well. Darkstar flash it onto from Psyche, but the Bell's Breath does not find the kill. Leodiff is able to get one before he falls. But can Psyche find the jungler? No, he's able to get back into the pit. He should have this smite well secured. There he does. And what an amazing play from the substitute top laner from Gollum. Check out this ultimate.
And I thought he was looking at Pooper the whole time, but I guess he just doesn't have vision there. He's looking, his eyes are on the prize. The 3-man ulti is massive, Colonel. And the culling comes out, but Quirky Package does save the lives of a lot of his teammates. Helios tries to flash forward to get in more damage, but it just costs him his life, and the fight starts to get turned despite the fantastic ultimate from Gollum. Quirky comes in to save the day, barely to salvage the fight to some extent, but again, the dragon goes over to Abyssal Sapphire, and I talked about it earlier in the series. This team plays well as the game goes on, and they are showing that right here and right now.
I think the biggest takeaway for how these fights need to go is Leodiff. If he is able to get his way around a fight, BDE just wins. But he was absolutely shut down. He was still able to get 1 kill, but taken down so low, so early for so much defensive just to keep Leo alive instead of to be able to run over the team fight. And he was just not able to get anything done. He ends up getting shut down rather. And Leo is the carry. He is set up for success. The Corki has not really done too much work. It has been a great tool with the package, but really all this damage is coming from Leo. And can he carry is the only question that BDE is asking.
Oh my goodness. And the bigger thing is, I don't see how BDE start to win this if they're going to just keep setting themselves up. They handed Golem the ultimate there. They were all standing in a bush by themselves. Who are you hiding from? You don't even need to be standing there as a team.
Man, that's half HP coming down out of the support. Saint Malay is going to take those fruit, but unfortunately that will be a good bit amount of chunk. 16 seconds until Baron spawns. That is the prize available. Now both these teams are going to be able to shred the Baron at this stage in the game. It's more so going to be decided by the fight that happens before it. And Daisy is out already. We'll see if they're able to take Daisy out before a fight ensues, and that is a big cooldown to not have when this fight does start.
Absolutely, and I'm not happy with Swag Money Boy's use of Daisy throughout this game. I feel it's supposed to be thrown out in time with the Ornn ultimate. So if Ornn is going to ult in a fight, Daisy should be throwing it at a similar time, because Daisy basically operates as a 6th champion in terms of something that stands in the way. Ivern is pseudo a bonus frontliner because he offers Daisy, who has to be dealt with in some capacity, causes enough disruption in these fights that it almost counts as a 6th champion. It's like 5.5 champions for one team fight. But the problem is he's just throwing it out there for scouting instead of when his team decides to pull trigger on a fight. And if Swag Money Boy keeps using Ivern ulti in this fashion, there are more and more windows for Abyssal Sapphire to win this game. But they're hitting Baron, Colonel.
Wow, Baron is getting shredded. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Both teams have the capacity to destroy Baron. Daisy is back just in time. The cooldown just coming out, and now both teleports coming out. The support already down, very low HP. That's a good knockup from Daisy, but the Baron does go all the way back up. Full regen. They are being forced out, and Abyssal is getting control of the river. There is that one word until BDE will have no more vision of the buff. And now Psyche has a flank. Is he able to find this? The Dark Binding does land, but he does come back to his team. The hook's gonna land, but that's Ornhorn coming down. It's gonna be a good amount of damage, but New Life has given over his life. That's a huge knockup from Scythe. That's exactly what they need. But Golem! He goes in! He's gonna find one kill. He's barely not able to find the second because of the Zhonya's Hourglass, and now keeping himself alive, and now James Moriarty on the backside, he's gonna find the kill. Absolutely insane team fight from these two. The both solo laners, absolutely perfect execution. The Malphite ult was pivotal, and this mid lane Lucian doing work for Abyssal.
And this is one of the wildest games I've seen in a while, Colonel. The binding comes out. We don't have Daisy like I talked about, but Psych finds the good ultimate. New Life is basically dead. He goes in just to give away his life. He stalls some time. Chubby Bunny needs to kite out, but the huge 3-man knockup is so much. But Golem finds the ultimate right on time. Insane Melee does find a return kill. This is super important, but Poober tunnel visions a little too hard onto this Malphite. Needs to go back and help out Morgana because maybe together they can take down the Lucian, but instead, Lucian trades one more, and Lucian's still alive on the map to take this Drake, which puts... And Soul Point is so pivotal in this game because no matter the gold, Ocean Soul can absolutely win a game for its team all by itself.
And that means that BDE is now until Abyssal can get the soul. They need to get as strong as possible before that spawns, and otherwise, I really see Abyssal winning this because, just like you said, they already have so much healing on their side for BDE, but that's actually going to be the package being used. That's so much damage. The Corki is massive. He's doing so much damage. The last auto does not come through. He burns the flash, the lantern, unfortunately, is sitting there. I would have loved to see him use that instead of burning a flash cooldown, but a great force from Poober. Now, potentially forcing back onto the Baron. They will be starting it. The ward is spotted out and stopped by the control ward. It's just going down. They have nothing to show for it, nothing to be able to stop it. They're just finally getting Darkstar to rotate, and Corki is here, is going down the calling. Can it steal? No, the smite is going to be secured. Dark Binding does land, but it looks like they're able to get out, and what an amazing, they didn't even need a pick. All they did is get pressure from Poober on this Corki. He has not been a major factor, but showing up where it counts, and they get themselves the Baron.
Absolutely, Colonel, and that's a huge misplay, culling the Baron there. He loses so much time for his team to arrive on time to form a contest, because he offers about 3,000 damage, 2,000 damage onto this Baron, as he doesn't have a smite advantage from Darkstar. It's very strange, because if he just waits on his cooldowns and he waits for his team to arrive, maybe they can contest, but instead, he just burns his culling early and gives them the free Baron. And now, this game, again, the driver's seat is flipped back once more. Now, BDE are in the driver's seat. Again, as Drake is spawning in 3 minutes, they have this time with their Baron to take as many towers as they possibly can and create themselves enough of a
that's a
lead.
great ultimate. It's so much damage, but everyone is there to keep him alive. All the shielding, that was almost a full HP bar's worth of shields to protect their mid laner. And Golem gets nothing out of that ultimate cooldown.
Yeah, but it is so quick. He is running Night Harvester, and he does have 2 legendary items, bringing that ability haste even higher. But because it's down right now, they do get mid-tier 2. And again, Colonel, they aren't looking to win the game off this Baron push. They're just looking to put themselves in the position to get the 6th Drake for free.
I said it 2.5 minutes ago, and I say it again. BDE needs to get as much gold as possible before this next Drake spawns, because Ocean Soul is pivotal. And they are doing absolutely everything right. They got the Baron, they're able to push in. This is going to be a big infusion of gold going into that fight, and they're closing down the gold lead. Let's see if that fight, that's so much damage onto New Life. He almost loses his life there. And that's all out of the power of this Vayne and Corki. And now, to be honest, the gold difference is starting to be less and less significant as everyone is starting to get so strong now. Lucian with the Guardian Angel, what an important cooldown to have online.
Absolutely, and I did talk about God Mode Corki, but God Mode Corki is on 3 items, and though Poober is not navigating it quite as well as James, which is one of his best champions, still, we are starting to enter that late game territory where One rocket just did 20% of Darkstar's health, and he's a tank. And they're getting to walk top here, get another tier 2, a really strong rotation as well, Colonel. The culling is very interesting. It doesn't end up getting anything. It wasn't a bad angle to look at for sure, though. And at the end of it all, they've completely stabilized this game with their Baron power play. And the way that I see it is, even though the gold is close, Colonel, their comp does outscale. So at 35 minutes, being even means they do have the advantage coming into this fight.
And we'll see if that culling cooldown means anything. 45 seconds till the Ocean Soul spawns. We'll see if he has it available by then. I think he should have it, which is great to hear if you are an Abyssal fan. Now Golem is able to walk in. It looks like both teams arrive relatively at the same time to fight over this vision. Scuttle Crab luckily walking into the side of BDE. As a TP over for Corki, he has the package. This has been so important for these team fights. Watch where that packet goes. And now trying to slowly get an advantage towards the Drake pit.
And Colonel, if he finds the right package here, I think that this game is done and dusted. As good as the Malphite has looked, we're seeing that the one-shot is happening less and less, though he almost did get caught out there, Colonel. But if this package falls onto... Keep your eyes on Aphelios and Lucian in the back here. If this package lands onto them and Pooper doesn't instantly explode, this could be a one fight off of one ability. Here we go, Colonel.
That is Call the Forge God is going to land onto 3. That's the package. It is so big, but he gives his life. He could not find anyone. The health bars are low, but not low enough. That is so much damage, but that's going to be kill after kill. They're gonna find enough. That's the resurrection coming out. This Leo barely surviving. He's going to live. This Vayne does not die. Now James Moretti, he doesn't have the flash. He tries to steal with the W. It is not enough, and they will stop the soul from going over to Abyssal.
And Colonel, that was one of the craziest fights we've seen all night, and we've seen a lot of crazy fights. Psych finds the nasty 3-man Ornhorn, though. Corgi flies in just to give his life. He's crazy, but Leo Div is navigating the teamfight, dodges everything. The GA comes down, but Psych is just way too tanky. It doesn't matter. And look, the fight starts to get kited out. Orn misses the flash over the wall to clean up the last one, but it doesn't matter as they trade 4 for 1 in a fantastic team fight by them, and that's what we were talking about with the outscale. It took a GA to do it because Vayne did get exploded immediately, but as you see, once those big cooldowns are burned, if the Vayne still lives, the game is won for BDE, and that's what they have to do here, except this time, Leo cannot get caught in another Malphite ultimate.
And as we check out these cooldowns, 20 seconds until Baron spawns. This game is very much still in the air. Abyssal just needs to find that one fight. They just need to find those targets. Golem is going to be going in. He's going to find the blast cone, find the ultimate. That's so much damage on Swag Money Boy. And the back is completed. So there's no one to help. The jungler, he's chilling smited. He will be hided out. That's the glacial prison to a ice cold grave. And that is Baron on the table for Abyssal.
And they just can't contest as this Malphite finds another pick, but you have to wonder why the backs were canceled. Maybe they were looking at shop, maybe they didn't react quick enough, but these channels are coming in. If Malphite is potentially trolling here, he finds the pick onto 2. If you just stop the channels and the channels don't come through, you can turn this fight for your team, but instead it is chaos. Pooper has to dash away, and Swag Money Boy is left all alone and dies eventually to the Sejuani ultimate. And here we are with Abyssal Sapphire having Baron. Can they close out the game here?
And again, it's the same story as last time. 3 minutes until Soul spawns. That is the last strike for whichever team gets it. They will get Ocean Soul. And Abyssal, they can either try and use this Baron to try and end before that matters, or get as much gold as possible, try and finish off those last items, those 5th and 6th items for their carries before the next fight, so that the next time they get an Ocean fight, they win it.
Absolutely, Colonel. And again, it's just... I can't even tell you, Colonel. I don't even know what fight wins it, what fight pushes over the edge. I think it should be the next fight that costs it all here, because they can stall out as best they can, but this Baron is much more threatening than the first. I feel like there's a lot more potential to get in here, Colonel, and actually go and end the game because it's late game now. Everybody deals so much damage to towers. Everybody deals so much damage to champions that everybody dies so quick. And Gorky's
Wow, that's a massive hook! The ultimate comes out, Chubby Bunny gets the kill. Now Sejuani gonna continue to go further. The tower's down, the inhibitor soon to follow, and that just might be the nail in the coffin. Actually, they do not have a minion wave, they have the cannon. Will they wait? They will. They will stay here. They want this base. They want this win. They want to start off EGL right. And that's going to be the Nexus turrets. They are going to chunk out so heavily. That's so much damage. Daisy is coming out. They're going to look to defend it. It just stalls. It immediately dies. That is not how you want to see Swag Money Boy use that Daisy. You said it before, and we'll say it again. That is not a good use of the cooldown. And the cannon will slowly poke down the tower.
And Colonel, the game pauses! No! And it's devastation for the casters. As I guess they end on that push, and
Oh,
oh,
so disappointing, leaving us on the edge of our seats, but that is an important win. Wow, that is. I have to say, I didn't give Corki much credit, but that is a lot of damage. Of actually out damaging the Lucian in the mid lane.
I'm telling you, Corky hits God mode. It's magic. I don't know. It is. It is fantastic magic damage dealt. I guess it is magic. Um, with that said, though, Colonel, both teams played incredibly well. I feel that Mew Life just came in clutch there. You don't even have to. I don't feel like Mew. I'll be honest. I don't feel like Mew Life had the best game under his belt there. He did die a lot on the Thresh, but if he finds a hook like that that just ends the game for his team, that's all it takes.
Wow, what a way for the series to go. I did not expect it, but a very close game three. The series went back and forth. I have to say, both teams, you've got to be proud of what you did here. This was a great way to start off your season, win or loss. Obviously, with that win, what a great way to start the season. But honestly, I think that there's a lot to learn for both sides.
I honestly think there is because I feel like a lot of the reasons things went wrong in team fights weren't because they weren't mechanically up to snuff with the opponent, but they weren't on the same page. They were disconnected, and that's really important. Being connected with your teammates understanding when we can fight, when to stop, when to go. These are teams that hinder a lot of very talented plat teams. I mean, and gold teams and silver teams. Every elo, honestly, even in the highest level, having someone's voice to guide everybody's mechanics is really important. And I think we saw a lack of both there. And I would even argue to say that Abyssal Sapphire looked like they had it a little more down packed. I don't think they were necessarily the better team. I feel like these two teams are very close, but they played better. They communicated better. They were a team better. And I think that's the important part. And I think that's the takeaway from these teams as they start to work on themselves during the season is to keep improving on that communication.
Absolutely. A long road ahead of us for both of these teams. But thank you guys so much for watching. This has been EGL. I'm Colonel. Beside me was Paka. That was an incredible series, but we will see you guys next week to continue EGL. Thanks for
Have a
watching.
great night, everyone.